This conference will now be recorded.
Alrighty, if everybody's ready, I'll call the meeting to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? And I'll go to administration first.
We're gonna do
Excuse me? Oh, no. Sure, we can get you appointed, I guess, first, Dallas. Yes, yeah, we'll do that first. We didn't have it in the agenda.
I, Dallas Ekstrom, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of Deputy Reeve for Brazeau County Council.
You swear that the contents of this your affidavit are true and that this oath is binding on your conscience, so help you God.
I do swear.
Good, hard-fought election there, Dallas.
Thanks, Bart. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Administration, any additions?
only the two that have been circulated.
Okay. Any other additions, councilors? Kara?
I have two, under 35H, meeting with the Premier, ratification. Well, I still might.
You
I
said
should.
H?
Yeah, we should still have council's permission to speak on behalf of council. And then 12F, under general matters, RMA election.
12, yeah. Anybody else? Glenn?
It's not an addition or a deletion, it's just FYI, the page numbers are messed up, like starting at number 1, it should be 7 to 12, and then every other one should just be added one number to it.
Okay. Noted. Alrighty. We got the minutes of the July 2nd regular council meeting. Yes, Anthony? Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I move to approve the agenda as, with the additions.
Discussion, all those in favor? Great, now we're getting rolling. It's been a while. All right, now we've got the minutes of July 2nd. errors or omissions? Donna?
I move to adopt the minutes of council meeting July 2nd, 2024.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Follow-up action list, anything you need to highlight there for us?
Highlight, other than we have the emergency management bylaw before council today, which is in the package.
Okay, thank you. Motion to receive the follow-up action list. Make sure your phones are off. Glenn,
I move to receive the follow-up action list for information.
discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimous. Appointment of members at large, pages 20 to 23. There's some recommendations in there. Who's leading this? You are? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Prior to my arrival, council had requested that administration do some work with respect to policies surrounding the various committees that are appointed and active throughout county. And in doing that work, we came across some challenges that we have, and just as a quick highlight, some of the challenges are around the terms of these committees, because not all of the committees are the same. Some committees are built through policies, some committees are formed under bylaw, and there's a lack of consistency in the terms. And so at this point, the recommendation would be straightforward to just receive this as information and continue to act as we have, where council has the opportunity to set those terms at the organizational meeting, so that it's within council's purview then to change those terms as they see fit.
Any comments, councillors?
Reed, can I get you your mic closer, please? Thank you.
Do you want me to speak more clearly? I will try to do that. Okay. So I just asked, any comments from the councillors? No? Okay. Oh, Kara, I can't see your light there with the table here.
I was just going to make a motion,
Okay, go ahead.
unless Glenn had comments.
I did see some benefits to changing some of these, like the Alice, going to 2 years, or the Drayton Valley Recreation Committee to 2 years. Yeah, the composite assessment board, the CARB and the LARB, to make them longer, since this takes education, right? So I hope you guys have reviewed this, and I think we should be changing some of these.
Okay, so now it's been recommended by administration that we look at it during the organizational meeting. Anthony?
I kind of feel it the way we've been doing it, where we have been appointing them yearly. It doesn't mean that we aren't necessarily able to appoint those same individuals back to the same board. In fact, many of our individuals have been back on the same board. But it gives that flexibility, and also with the election coming up, if we appoint someone for 2 years and they're not back, or in terms of members at large, even maybe in the next term of council and the members of council, maybe they would prefer not to serve just because of whatever their feelings are. So I think it just gives us more flexibility the way it has been, and it's worked well, so I don't see any real need for the change. And including with the Alice and those other ones, even with the education, we still can consider those individuals again and just reappoint them.
Okay, so no changes at the time, but it'll be discussed at organizational meeting. That's what I heard so far, but there's been some points of view brought forward by Glenn that there may be a value to 2 years, so he's asking everybody to keep that into consideration. Cody?
Yes, the only concern I guess I have, as it stands, is that the Recreation Board is the only one to my knowledge, but it's a 2-year appointment, and our procedural bylaw states that our appointments are for 1 year, so we're kind of breaking the bylaw by having that. So I don't know what we would have to do to amend it, if we just need to remove that clause and just go with 1 year's generally speaking. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess we need to do something, I guess.
Okay. Anthony?
We used to have our municipal library board, the one that was Brazeau Municipal Library Board, and we appointed our individuals for a longer period of time as well, contrary, I guess you could say, to our procedure bylaw. But all we did when it came time to next election, or next organizational meeting, I mean, we just reappointed them, and rather than changing our procedure bylaw.
Boy, everybody's wading in this morning here. That's good. Dallas? Good debate.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion, Reeve, that some boards should be council, like the Municipal Planning Commission. I'm of the opinion that that should be a council board. Nobody is more informed, and nobody should be more informed than the councilors who sit on that board. The terms, I think 2-year terms are good. I'm actually in favor of two-year terms, and after that, you're not allowed to serve on that board. And members should not be allowed to serve on 2 boards at the same time. We have over 7,000 people, residents in our community, in our county, and there's plenty of opportunity for participation from any number of people who should be here. It shouldn't be the same people repeated over and over again. The purpose of members at large is to engage our public. Let's make sure we do that. So let's just give this serious consideration.
Thanks. Rudy?
Reeve, I was just going to speak to Cody's point, and it's a valid one in that we're kind of at cross purposes, and I think maybe the solution to that is to remove the 1-year appointment from the procedural bylaw and then allow council to just set terms without overriding that bylaw each time they want to change it from a 1-year term.
Okay, another good thought. Anything else? If not, then motion to receive this for information if there's no other changes being proposed. Dallas, or Cody, I mean?
Well, I didn't prepare this motion, so bear with me. So because I would like to make an amendment to the procedural bylaw, I guess we have to direct administration to bring the procedural bylaw to us for amendment. But do we want to, now that we have a CAO here that's permanent, do we want to open it up and really do an overhaul on it?
Well, that's, you'd have to just put a motion forward. It's not to changing it at this point, but to have administration bring back some proposed changes. And then those proposed changes will have to be voted on.
Mm-hmm.
But not today, just.
Right. So this is one issue that I would like to address. Are there other issues we'd like to address that administration can be aware of and bring us other amendments?
Glenn, you got a comment?
I think we discussed it before, but it was actually during the interview, rather than just having paper, we wanted to actually see the members at large and have them they'd be given a chance to speak before us. I think that was important because, lots of times we don't know we don't know the people anyways, and we just keep voting in the same people for that reason because, I recognize that name from the last time.
Okay.
So we're capturing all these points, are we, Tina? Or not? Are we capturing all these points that have been raised? Like 2-year terms, not 2-year terms, no terms at all? We're talking about...
Yes, I'm just waiting for a motion to direct.
Okay. Because if Cody makes a motion that administration brings back the procedural bylaw with the proposed changes as discussed, and he can have the options there, 1-year term, 2-year term, no term, and then we can vote on that.
Procedural bylaw is this suggestion up here, that we actually remove the one clause from the procedural bylaw. Then you would have to look at each bylaw that has created each committee if you wanted to open up the terms. That's where it gets complicated.
Cody? No. Oh, Kara, can you lift your light up just a little bit? This whole plank here blocks your,
No worries. Just on, yeah, I think this needs to be, there's got to be further discussion. If we're looking at changing the procedural bylaw, I would be interested in making, if we're going to open it up, then we have a really good look at it. So I would suggest at least half a day spent on it and go literally word by word, go through it. I don't even remember, I've been here for quite a while, and I don't remember the last time that we actually really opened it up, sat down and maybe modernized it is the word that to use for it. The other piece is just be aware, some of these committees are tied to bylaws, some of them are tied to provincial legislation. And for instance, the recreation board is also tied to the town. So we can't just change our process without talking to them first. And if we make the change, they have to make the change too as well. So I think it's a little bit, it sounds easy on the surface, it might be a little bit more complex. And on the side of the committee side, I think there's been some really good points made. And I think some good discussion at the organizational meeting would probably be best. But if we're looking to do something like Councillor Gunderson has suggested and have members at large present, we need to do that ahead of time. We can't, we need to give them some forewarning. I believe the organizational meeting is already set. The 20th.
sorry, I couldn't hear that. When is it set for?
October. It's set
Okay.
for October 22nd. So if we're looking to make that change, that'd be something we need to discuss now. And I think, yeah, I think it, on the surface, it's a great idea, but I think it's going to be a little bit more complex, so.
So we'd have to have a meeting end of September at the most, maybe?
Yeah, and I think we're discussing two different issues at the moment too. We're dealing with organizational and the way the committees are set up, and then the other separate piece is our procedural bylaw. So it's actually two separate things. But either way, if we want to discuss all of it, I would suggest at least half a day. The procedural bylaw probably needs an overhaul and some modernization, and it would give staff some time to research and see what's out there. I don't like to reinvent the wheel if we don't have to. And there's some pieces in it that work, but there's probably some things that need to be tweaked.
They're both hinged, somewhat together, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg effect. So I would suggest if we're looking at doing one, we might maybe do both at the same time. But I think we need to do deep dive on it, and rushing it through a council meeting, I don't think would give it the attention that it needs.
So I'm suggesting if that's the case and we want to do it before October 22nd, then we should probably have the meeting in late September. So maybe just put meeting dates, organizational/procedural bylaw changes. Need a bit more time, okay.
We start recruiting for members at large in September, so a bit more time if we're going to change how we recruit and what we require from them, especially if they're going to interview in front of you. I would need more time, of course, to set that up.
So when you say more time, we should have the meeting sooner or later?
I would, if you're going to change how we set up the committees and how we recruit for them, it would be ideal to have it done at the beginning of September.
Okay, so let's just put it down as meeting dates, and that'll give us a chance to stew on it and go from there. So somebody want to make a motion that we put a meeting around beginning or mid-September under meeting dates? Or just put down meeting dates, and you guys will figure out. Anybody want to make that in the form of a motion, just so we have it on our agenda for discussion? Go ahead, Anthony.
So you want one for a members at large discussion, like in other words, the interview, so we need to have that put in place. Plus, we need to, I guess, have a discussion from what Kara's asking for on our reevaluating our procedural bylaw.
Yeah, and they could be done, I guess, two different times. Members at large, that's the one that's critical for Tina right now. And maybe that one could be a little sooner, and then the other one, if we've got time, do it before the end of September, right?
You know, that's why I'm trying to say we need two motions, or two dates set up then.
Yeah.
One for members at large parameters set to be set.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And one for procedure bylaw review, I guess would be the
Yeah,
wording for it.
yeah. So let's just get it on the agenda.
Okay, I'll make a motion to add for G, member at large appointments, and for H, procedure bylaw review. And now H would be for procedure bylaw.
I
So
think
I'll
we
add
already
those.
got an H, and that was Kara put down H for the premier meeting.
Okay, then, I guess I have, sorry, it would have to be H and F, or F and G then, or F. Yeah,
I for meeting dates, members at large. And procedural bylaw. That was your motion, Anthony? Discussion, all those in favor? It's carried unanimous. Okay. So was that it from the CAO report? Okay. Brazeau Emergency Management Bylaw, request for council decision, pages 24 to 41.
We're good?
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
I was looking around for you. There you are.
Just before we began, my voice decided to go on holidays and left me alone, so I want to make sure everyone can hear me okay and well. All right, perfect. So first of all, thank you, Council, for allowing me to come and speak with you today. I'll give you a quick background on how we ended up addressing this bylaw. When I first came on staff in June, our focus was the Municipal Emergency Management Plan, which you might see here referred to as MEMP. Sorry, all these acronyms we love in disaster management. And so as I began working on that, about 2 weeks in, many of the contractors that work for our industry stakeholders who rewrite their emergency plans began contacting me, which is as common because once a year, the Alberta Energy Regulator, AER, mandates that the industry must always have an emergency response plan. It gets reviewed yearly and submitted to the county or municipality within which they operate. And so they always send them to us just to say, hey, we've updated, here you go. And because there's been some changes in staff and I came on board, they had asked, some new contacts and things like that. So I started to review some of their first pages and seeing how they refer to us. And a few of them said, well, in state of an emergency, yes, we're responsible for our own response. However, we can reach out to the county and ask for help. Obviously, they can only help if they have the capacity and the ability. But it said things like, we will do our response as per their policy or their bylaw. And I thought, oh, we have a policy and bylaw on this? Okay, I guess I should get familiar with this. And started reading through it and realized, well, we don't really. This is an emergency management bylaw as mandated by the government there in 2020 with COVID coming on and everything. But that was that's different from what the industry would have. And so I thought, well, we better be really clear on how we word this because they could easily blame us and say, well, you didn't have a policy for this. So that's the background and why I started digging into this. And then sort of the municipal plan was sort of becoming at the same time, but on the side. And so as I went through this and a few of us looked at it, basically it was just bringing in consistency to it. Sometimes terms were referred to as emergencies, sometimes disasters, so just bringing things in as it was always referred to as the same time. I found in emergency management, a lot of professions, we tend to assume people know things, and that's always dangerous, so it's always about being very clear and having it consistent, because for me to hear emergency disaster, pretty interchangeable. If someone's never seen this, and they see it worded, well, it's an emergency here, but a disaster there, oh, is it different? What's the difference? So I brought a lot of consistency into that. Also,
where there's a new document that came out, the Alberta Incident Management System for 2024. It's been great that AEMA, Alberta Emergency Management Agency, put that forward because it's given a lot of clarity to industry municipalities as to how we need to act and what command systems we need to follow. And so some of the terms that we had, I just brought them in line with what the Alberta government is using right now. The more we can stay consistent with them, the easier it's going to be to communicate all the way down the line. And so you didn't have that much time to look at this. I just want to remind you that this is just a first reading. So we are also still working on the municipal plan, and we're kind of going to work on these in conjunction. But we wanted to at least get this out to you to start taking a peek at it now and see if you had any questions. I'm not going to go through each change here, but if you guys have any questions right now, please let me know.
Glenn?
Thank you, Ryan. So yeah, we talked to a Dem from, I think it was Drumheller or Medicine Hat. But yeah, they had dealt with flooding, and he was really boasting how they set a minimum meeting. So in our 2.3, their EAC met a minimum of 5 times a year. And he stressed that our 1 time a year wasn't even close to being enough. I thought 3 times a year would be a reasonable amount. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the more the better, definitely. This being a bylaw, this is very binding. So by putting a minimum of 1 time a year, you're leaving yourselves to that we have to do it at least once a year. And that is in line with the Alberta legislation. If you want to mandate that you have to do it more than that, that's great too, because then you're forced to, because often if you say minimum 1, and then all of a sudden things get busy and new things come on the docket, it gets pushed, and oh, well, we did our 1, that's okay. So I didn't change that. I didn't cause any effect there. However, I mean, I'm in full support of that for sure. If you guys want to mandate yourselves to do that with me.
What's my question, I guess, what do you mean mandatory? We haven't had one for 4 years now, I think, no?
That's probably not a good thing.
Okay. Is there a penalty on that, or is there?
No, there's not. I mean, basically, when COVID hit in 2020, and leading up to that, Alberta started to see some major disasters in the last few years. A big fire, Slave Lake, Fort McMurray, the floods in 2013. So that's really pushed them to develop all their legislation and acts with a lot more clarity and detail. And actually, Alberta does have one of the best programs in Canada. And so when they've come out with this, they've given a lot of leeway to, you know, as you see in this document and the Local Authority Act, or Local Authority Regulation, that you need to have a DEM, you need to have a council, you need to have an emergency management agency. So they've been quite loose on that over the years as we're building it. 2020 kicked that into more action. There's a lot of changes with the Local Authority Act at that point. So right now it's being quite loose, they're being quite generous, but you know, they're going to start cracking down more for sure. So the more on top of it we are with our bylaws, our plans, et cetera, our meetings to say, hey, yeah, we meet this many times a year. That way too, you know, the horrible fire that you guys experienced last year, if Alberta comes in and says, well, what, you know, in the future, well, what have you done to help this or act on that? Well, you know, our emergency advisory committee meets 4 times a year minimum. You know, we have all these new plans in place. So definitely, if you want to increase that, it makes a commitment happen.
All right, so you're looking for first reading?
Yeah, exactly.
Just to get it out there and get comments.
Yeah, get you guys taking a look at it, seeing what you think, and we're going to be doing the same as we continue to work on the Municipal Emergency Management Plan. I know Councillor Henrique had some great questions the other day. Did you want to voice them here? Okay.
Now, the other day, where was this at?
Oh, we were just talking in the hall, basically.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, particular, I guess, I don't know, I had different questions just for clarification, but the one that stuck out in my mind, I guess, at least that I want to make sure I bring up is, when we had discussions earlier, when we had our fire, we had incidents where people were evacuated and they had their livestock and the like left behind. And we had lots of concerns and people trying to get back to tend to their livestock needs. And we had problems, I guess, created at the blockades and the like because people were trying to get back. And I guess this bylaw is, as I understand it, having talked to Ryan to get clarity, is kind of our overarching, it's the bylaw, but we also should have a plan, emergency management plan that kind of is following underneath that. And in that emergency management plan, that's where we need to have things addressed of how we would handle the livestock movement and or other occasions of, you know, assistance that might be needed for people in their properties. So I think what I would like to see done is that we would give first reading to this bylaw, but that we also make a motion to direct administrations to start working on the emergency management plan, and in particular with some emphasis along with the Department of Agriculture, Donya's department, to work with trying to alleviate some of the concerns that were last time around with providing access for our residents that have cattle left behind. So I think there's twofold. One is to create this bylaw, because that's separate, and give our first reading. But then after that, I would like to have a motion, I would like to make a motion for creating an emergency management plan.
All right. Any other thoughts?
I think that's what you and I were speaking of.
Okay, so does anybody want to go back to giving this first reading?
Bart,
Go ahead, Anthony.
I'm going to find the bylaw number. I move first reading to bylaw 1189-24.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimous. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, I also want to make a motion now to direct administration to follow up with developing an emergency management plan that helps address the evacuation or the handling of livestock in the case of an evacuation.
Everybody clear? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Okay, we've got planning and development.
So thank you so much. Please know I'm always available to you, so at any point you want to discuss this further, because I know these regulations and things inside and out, so please come and talk to me. I'm always open to new ideas. And prime example, Glenn, or Councillor Gunderson, thank you so much for the email yesterday. I love things like that, so please continue to send me all the time. Cheers.
Go ahead, Kara.
Thank you, through the chair, sorry. Just so other comments, because it just hit me actually, and I should have made them before the motion was made. But have you reached out to RMA Insurance? So that's the insurance company that insures all our infrastructure. They may be great to talk to too as we go through this emergency preparedness stuff and through the bylaw and see what's there. For instance, what I can tell you and share with you, we know the devastation in Jasper. We were facing a $100 million loss in infrastructure in that community. RMA did insure the municipality of Jasper. To date, we figure we're going to be between 6.5 and 7 million. And there's what I'm hoping is maybe some discussions. We do use a wildland tactical unit. They may have some good stuff and some good insight to make sure that we're including it. And then just so you're aware too, I don't know how new to the role you are, but that specialized team was allowed in to work alongside the municipal firefighters plus the province. And we saved, I don't know how much you know what's going on in Jasper, but the majority of their infrastructure we managed to save because of those specialized teams. But they would have, I would suspect, resources and stuff, some insight. So if you want to talk further with me, give me a shout and I can get you in contact and we can work on it from there. So,
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. I will.
Yeah, I know as devastating as it was, but I mean, $100 million to between that 6.5 and 7 million it's crazy what's going on. The other thing is the private insurance world is picking up on these wildland crews. So you'll see in Jasper, I've already seen, and I'm sure we've seen it on the news and on social media and all the crap that goes on there, but there's some places you'll see a house standing and then the entire neighborhood's burnt. I would highly suspect Intact Insurance, who was the other one? Was it Aviva Insurance?
I'm not sure.
There was 3 private insurance companies that set specialized teams in there too, and the majority of those houses were saved for that reason. So anyways, yeah, I could talk wildfires for a while.
Beautiful.
Donna, you might have insight from working with your own too as well. RMA is also RMA is doing a working group too with our our hit municipalities, and there's going to be a report and discussion papers that are coming out of that. So I'll make sure you get a copy of that too, because there'll be really good insight in there.
Yeah, I think Tina's been great. I think it was Tina that got it to me. So I've gotten the updates. There was a few updates that came out when that new legislation change was happening. So yes, I have been monitoring that. And before I started, I knew I wanted to talk to you anyway. So. Great. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, planning development 2.
Good morning, Raven Council. Rezoning application 24A-009, located on pages 47 through 60 of the agenda package, has been submitted to rezone approximately 14.77 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Southeast 21495 west of the 5th Meridian, which would allow for the subdivision of one new parcel and the consolidation of a portion of the rezoned area with an existing parcel. A public hearing for this bylaw has been scheduled for September 3rd at 10:15 a.m. The subject lands are located immediately west of Range Road 53, from which all parcels will have access, and south of Township Road 494, as shown on the land location map on page 49. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the county's municipal development plan, as the area proposed for rezoning will be subdivided and consolidated with an existing parcel, thus not creating or exceeding the maximum 4 titled parcels for the quarter section. Additionally, the lands are not located within any intermunicipal development plan or area structure plan, and that's reflected in appendices E and F on pages 56 through 60. Therefore, bylaw 1187-24 is presented for first reading for the rezoning of approximately 14.77 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Southeast 21495 west of the 5th Meridian. Thank you.
Anthony?
If there's no questions, I'm prepared to make, move first reading.
I don't see any.
Okay, I move first reading to bylaw 1187-24.
Any discussion? All those in favor? That was carried unanimous? Okay.
Next is rezoning application 24A-008, located on pages 61 through 73 of the agenda. This application has been submitted to rezone approximately 6.51 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Northeast 14488 west of the 5th Meridian, which would allow for the subdivision and consolidation for an enlargement of an existing parcel. The public hearing for this bylaw has been scheduled for September 3rd at 10 a.m. The subject lands are located immediately west of Range Road 81, from which all parcels will have access, and south of Highway 620, and that's shown on page 63 of the agenda package. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the municipal development plan, as the area proposed for rezoning will be subdivided and consolidated with an existing parcel, thus not exceeding the maximum 4 parcels per quarter section. Additionally, the lands do not fall within any area structure plan or intermunicipal development plan, and that's reflected in appendices E and F on pages 69 through 73. Therefore, bylaw 1186-24 is presented for first reading for the rezoning of approximately 6.51 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Northeast 14488 west of the 5th Meridian. Thank you.
Any discussion? Donna?
If there's no discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right.
I move that council give first reading to bylaw 1186-24, proposing points northeast 14488 west of the 5th Meridian. 6.51 acres be rezoned from agriculture to agricultural holdings as shown on attached Schedule A.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Okay, road closure bylaw.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
We're here for road closure bylaw 1150-23. We're looking for second and third reading to this bylaw, 1150-23, closing via lease to public travel a portion of government road allowance. There is a formal meets and bounds description in the report, but this is Township Road 494, just east of our building here, towards the river, just before the dead end. The portion described will be gated and maintained by Brazeau County. The undeveloped public road allowance is identified on a map, Schedule B and C. If council approves second and third reading of the bylaw, Brazeau County would then place gates to prevent unauthorized access. The proposed road closure bylaw was approved by Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors for closure July 12th, 2023. And I'll correct my wording there, disposal. So this closure is by lease, so it's not permanent, and it can be rescinded via bylaw at any point.
Is this the one that went down by the river?
Yes.
Pardon me? Okay. Donna?
If there's no questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
I can't remember, did I vote against this?
Yes, you did.
Huh? Oh, okay. Pardon me?
You can turn over a new leaf.
Go ahead, did you make your motion?
No.
Go ahead.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw 1150-23, closing via lease to public travel a portion of government road allowance.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Just myself, Tina.
Oh.
Pardon me? I can't hear you. Oh, you want to go right to third reading?
Right to third reading, if we could, yeah.
Okay, well, you don't have to go to third reading, you just have to make a motion to give third reading. Kara, did you have something before Cody makes the motion? Go ahead, Cody.
I move to give third reading to bylaw 1150-23, closing via lease to public travel a portion of government road allowance.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Just one, Tina, myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. All right, we've got the former CIO. Bank reconciliation, page 80.
Good morning, Council. As mentioned on page 81 of your agenda, we have the bank reconciliation as of June 30th, 2024. If Council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I would ask that Council receive for information.
All right, Kara?
Through the chair to administration. I know it's not on the sheet, but it's just a question and maybe something to think about before we, or as we get into budget. Our investments, they're done with Wood Gundy, correct?
Correct, yes.
How often do we go out to RFD for that, or request for proposal?
So through Chair to Council Westland, for the actual long-term investment piece of it, it has been a while. I wouldn't be able to say a term off by hand. So yeah, something we can always look and delve into that. But, you know, I've been here close to 10 years. During that time period, I believe we've always just used the Wood Gundy crew there.
Okay, and why I'm questioning is because I've been made aware that there's been some significant players pull out of Wood Gundy due to their increased fees and not so great rates. So one would be a local nonprofit that I'm involved in. We pulled at that, and then my RMA hat, just so you're aware, RMA just pulled with them too as well.
Well, that is interesting, because I do
So I
know
would-
the rates we've had to come across, we've always been very happy with the rates it provided, but like you said,
Yeah,
certainly
so
something
you've
good
got
look
me
at.
now interested, because if we haven't done it, it might be something good for council to consider as we look at just making sure that they're doing the best that they can and we're getting the best bang for our buck, especially because it's taxpayers' money, so.
Yeah, no, on our side, we can certainly take a look at that, and as we go forward, see who else is out there, and majority of people are using as well too, so that's some homework we can do on our side and bring it back to
Okay.
council for their
There's
information.
a little bit of a nudge, yeah,
Well, it never hurts.
never hurts, but
So those checks that I write, because you guys keep moving money around, like 5 million here, 5 million there.
Yes.
Is that part of this 10 million?
So it would be, so to the Reeve, so lots of those would be in related to kind of the day-to-day managing of our short-term investments. So, you know, times such as this for well, we're right basically on there with tax collection there, where we're getting our, you know, $30 million, $36 million in here. Then we're laddering it through, basically take the operating money we're looking at for the next calendar year, and we're laddering that out, whether it be 30, 60, 90, deposit accounts and various other instruments that are provided by a few of the other banks there. So we only deal with like the big 5 banks are the only ones we do, and they're all principal protected notes and those type of products there. So those $5 million checks, those are mainly what those are for, were the CIBC Wood Gundy. Those are, you know, in excess of a year. We have ones that are maturing from 5 years ago and things like that. So that's kind of those longer term notes that we're looking at is with them. And then you obviously get the higher rates for doing that. But the checks that we have you sign quite frequently, those would be more for our 30, 60 days and just to kind of get the most interest we can while still maintaining, you know, a good level of liquidity there to meet our operating needs.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions then? Good debate. Kara's raised the question, should we go out for tender? That's, I guess, your intent is, all right?
through the chair to council administration, do you need a motion for that, or is it something we could just take a look at?
Yeah, that's something we can just go take a look at, and really as part of just doing the due diligence on the, you know, year by year basis there. We can
Okay.
take a look and bring back to
Awesome,
council what
and
we
I'm
find.
open to discuss putting my other hats that I do wear. I can let you know, one of them's Evergreen Gas Co-op, so I can let you know where we move to, the kind of rates and the services that we're getting, and then RMA, I'm pretty sure I can probably discuss some stuff high level, where we move to and the rates that we're getting and the service levels, so.
Yeah, that would be great information.
I think it would be great. I was gonna make a motion to receive.
Yeah. You got a question, Glenn, first?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Through the chair to administration, would it be a big deal to actually just give us another sheet onto this saying that here's our investments, this is what they're making, so that we could actually see that it's making what we think it should be? Like, I'm thinking if it's only 1.5%, and I'm thinking they should be 5%. Is there some reason we couldn't showcase that, or
We
is that better to
have,
keep it under wraps?
well, certainly we receive monthly statements, right, from the financial institutions that we bank with there. So we do have you know, we keep track of all that, what rates we're at, where their terms of maturity as part of cash flow planning and things like that as well too. So we have the information available. If there's something that's council's looking for, I can put a few things together and throw it out to council, and if that helps.
Oh,
then
that'd be great,
certainly.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, the information's there.
Kara's gonna make a motion, yeah.
I move to receive the bank reconciliation for information.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous.
Okay.
What are we waiting for?
Yes.
Page 81 to 94.
Yeah, so on page 82, the recommended action is that council give all required readings to bylaw 1188-24, the updated water and sewer utility bylaw. And so this is coming out of the joint meeting that was held on May 28, 2024 with the town of Drayton Valley, where the town discussed their new water restriction policy and had just brought it to council's attention that it would impact the areas within the county that were serviced by the town's water distribution system. And essentially that would be the Poplar Ridge area and in River Ravine. So since they are fed by the town's water restriction policy, it was suggested that Brazeau County make reference to this in its water and sewer bylaw. On page 94, we have added a line just to highlight that those accounts that are being serviced by the town are subject to their water restriction policy. The town had mentioned that they had also sent information to all these account holders with their monthly billing, just letting them to know what this policy is and kind of how it would impact them. So this is something we have included on page 94, just to incorporate in our bylaw.
Okay. Go ahead, Glenn, you're gonna,
I move to give first reading to bylaw 1188224, updated water and sewer utility bylaw, August 20th, 2024.
discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Dallas?
I'll move second reading. Bylaw 118824, updated water and sewer supply utility bylaw.
Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried unanimous. Kara?
I move to go to third reading for bylaw 1188-24.
Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried unanimous. And does somebody want to give third and final reading? Donna?
I move third reading to bylaw 1188-24, updated water and sewer utility bylaw.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Okay, legal costs, arbitration appeal, judicial review and code of conflict. Page 95.
Okay, so as mentioned, this is kind of an update to a previous update that was previously provided, just the Cresta Council, just to highlight some of the arbitration appeal costs, as well as the most recent code of conduct complaint. So we do the only two items that have received updated costs. So on the judicial review and the code of conduct, those are the two new items that have been placed on there. And so the judicial review, we have received additional billing, and that total now sits at $92,867. So that's 92867 on the judicial review. And for the code of conduct, that amount we've received additional billing or finalized billing, and that is 32864. So 32864.
All right, Kara?
Thank you. Just for council's information and administration, I'm been involved in some of the high-level discussions with the province, especially with Bill 18, 20, and 21. The one in particular that relates to this with the code of conduct is we've been giving through RMA suggestions on moving forward what's obviously not working in this. We're not the only municipality facing these type of costs. It's actually happening right across the province. Many are actually in the hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. So we are suggesting to the province that actually a third party, almost like they have this in the major cities, Edmonton and Calgary, already have integrity commissioners. They're third party, the city pays for them, so we're actually asking, because it's the province's legislation, we're basically telling them they need to be in control, like, well, they need to look after this and they also need to fund it. So we're asking for a third party integrity commissioner for municipalities and that the province pays for it. So it takes the burden off. The biggest piece to that is it puts our CAOs in an incredibly difficult predicament, and as we are their only boss, but yet he or she is in charge of investigating us. So we've brought that piece into it, and then the cost too around it. So we seem to have some ears from the government on that. Whether it comes out or not in the wash is but one thing I can tell you, RMA and AB Munis is both pushing for that third party investigator and integrity commissioner type office, and that the province funds it.
Sorry, just making notes on Kara's. Go ahead there, Glenn.
Do we need to have a resolution for that, for RMA? That's something we should be pushing through?
I would say not, because we're already working on it. So it almost would be redundant at this point, and I would suspect the way that some of the stuff in the review of these bills are going, it may be too late anyways. I would see some of this stuff finalizing in the fall. Some of it might even be done before convention, so, but we are working on it, so.
All done, Glenn?
This is through the chair to administration. How do we know when the legal, it said 32,864, you just got that updated. How do we know when that's finally done? Like I've found with spills and stuff like that, sometimes I'll get a bill 4 months later that I didn't expect. How do you know when you're actually done paying for this stuff?
So through the chair to Councillor Gunderson, that's a great example exactly how it seems to go there, where suddenly you get a catch up from June or some other month there previously. So I have put in for confirmation from both firms there, just to confirm we have received the last bill, just as we just received another one. So I'm pretty confident it is there, but until, like you say, I get confirmation from them, and then even then, the odd time you may see another one slip through the cracks there and get it afterwards. But you hope that it's the last one, but I'll wait for confirmation before I say for sure.
So Kara, how does the smaller municipalities deal with this that can't afford to fight the code of conduct? What's the solution there?
They're having to pay for it no matter what, so raise property taxes or go into debt doing it.
Donna?
Used now. So you had said that the province is going to pay for it.
No, that's what RMA and AB Munis is asking the province to start paying for it.
So in order for the province to start paying for it, the third-party investigator, is he going to say this is worth looking at or this isn't? And
Yes.
then, okay.
So it would be taken out of the hands. So it happens in Edmonton and Calgary. It's an integrity commissioner. Actually, and to an extent, the provincial government has it too as well. So that's when MLAs get investigated for breaking legislation or policies, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But it's not, we're asking for it. So what I'm saying is, what I have noticed in RMA and actually are both of our associations, municipal associations, these bills are huge. And it's not uncommon to see them in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So.
This includes code of conduct.
Yes, this would be for code of conduct.
Okay.
Complaints.
So the investigator, integrity commissioner, he decides if it's a go or not, and then the province pays for it.
Correct. That's what we're asking for.
Okay, so are there going to be different circumstances where the county would pay for it, or this is just all there is to go to a code of conduct?
We're asking for everything to go to an integrity commissioner, a third-party integrity commissioner. And that the province pays for it, it's their legislation. And then it also cuts out some of the political drama that can happen in local municipalities too as well.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I was just making notes. What's the timeline on that, Kara?
It is the province's timeline, so the bills have been put out. I would suspect you'll see the finalizing of these bills in this fall. So very short time frame. I've been a part of the review on local elections governance act, which actually covered part of the code of conduct too. So I've been in 2 meetings If you go to Glenn, I will let you know, I think I've got one more meeting coming up.
While you're thinking, Glenn, go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, it was a motion.
Oh, what was your motion?
Well, I'm gonna make one. I move to receive the Brazeau County Legal Cost Update Report for information.
That doesn't cut you out there, Kara? All right, discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. What was your other point you had, Kara?
I'm just trying to see when my other meeting is, and I can't seem to find it, so we can just move on. I'll just keep you guys aware of the work that's being done in the background on that.
Okay, thanks for that. So we're on to general matters. The G report. That's you. Glenn report.
Yeah, I've attached my report for everybody to read. We made the most of our time when we were down in Calgary and seen as many people as possible. Talked to a lot of politicians and some business people. It was basically, we went down to lobby and promote for Brazeau County. We lobbied for Highway 621 and promoted to businesses our tax incentives. It all went really well with no issues. I did have one ratepayer call, and he was complaining about the $2,400. It does cost money to do these events. The option would be that we do something like Greenview does, and you hire somebody for $100,000 a year for economic development, but you still have to pay for travel and everything else. So we're kind of, I think we're saving some money by going this way, a once a year kind of a thing. So I hope everybody's okay with it. I know I am.
You did a good job, Glenn, I have to say. You set the bar very high. Doing this type of things, I agree with you. You get to walk across the street and you meet another minister. You know, you walk another 100 yards. So even though it was held during Stampede, we didn't attend any Stampede functions. It's just, it was a great collection place for all the people to be actual. You can meet a lot of people in a hurry, and Glenn's a quicker walker than me, so he attended more. Go ahead, Kara.
Thank you, and just so council's aware, this is actually the first time I've attended any of this as well, and I was actually there partly for RMA, and then I did a day and a half where sole focus was on the county. That being said, any other stuff I was attending during that time, of course I mentioned Brazeau County, and promoted the work that we're doing at WEC. I was always skeptical of this at Stampede, because you hear things, perception and reality are two different things. This is incredibly important, and I would encourage that we continue to down this path with this. You'll never get as many ministers, MLAs, business people together in the same area. I've attended events, quite a few of them, and I've never seen that many people come together. You have the sitting government. You also had the opposition too. So it was nonpartisan in that way too as well, that you had access to both opposition and the sitting government too as well. So I'm super impressed.
Well, in the contacts we've made, we're bringing them home. So
Yep.
we're having meetings with some of these consultants. We've got Terry Brisboy with the seismic sort of system there, and there was what was that other one, Glenn? Yeah, Steeper Energy that we met with there too. So there's certainly economic potential that will generate far more revenue than what you spend. But it's like they say, if nobody knows where we're at, and I find that just living in this community, we're, as Bob Seeger would say, we're running against the wind. You know, it seems like it's an uphill battle all the time, because we're not on the main beaten path of Highway 2 or Highway 16. You know, we're always running against the wind. I'll have to make that our theme song. Rudy, go ahead.
I read to Councillor Gunderson's comment. I think it's important for council to not view that as a cost, but as an investment in the county. And while others have gone the consultancy road, I think it's very important for council to carry the county's message, because you can speak with a passion to it that nobody else can. So I think it's important for you to be out and talking to these officials and advocating for the objectives of the county.
Boy, you're good at fluffing my pillow. I like how that sounds. All right, anything else, you guys? If not, motion to receive Glenn's report for information. Anthony?
I move to receive the report, Glenn's report for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. APBR,
Good morning, Reeve and Council. I'm here to present the EPBR request letter to Canadian Heritage River System Board. The letter is on page 107, and I am open for questions and comments.
well, it's nice seeing that it's coming from them. Go ahead, Anthony.
I would like to have the third paragraph basically either removed or certainly readjusted, because I think, Bart, when you and I talked, or we talked, or before, and that, to me, that paragraph states, you know, that it wouldn't have any economic or recreational activities, that it wouldn't affect them. And I think there's greater impacts that this designation could have, and that's on, as I mentioned earlier in these conversations, the farmland further out has the tributaries that lead into the river. They're the ones that could easily bring various components to the river system that all of a sudden causes, you know, that's detected in the river and all of a sudden causes impacts well beyond the river itself and the riverbank. And that's where, and when we talked about this before, Bart, it's far-reaching. It's not just along the riverbank. And so I think we would like to, I would like to have in that paragraph, instead of that third paragraph, something to the effect that states that it has a far-reaching effect into our county based on the water flow from our lands through the tributaries that lead to the North Saskatchewan, and based on future governance policies for the river itself, it could be far-reaching out into our county.
So I agree with you. I'm just trying to think about how we do that, because we can't change, well, I guess this letter's from all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could have something and bounce it off of them, not just put it in and not
No,
tell
but
them.
I'm pretty sure that Eagle Point would agree with that, because, and this is my point of view, I've talked with them about this when this first came up, and they were all like, why wouldn't we support it? When I explained what I just did to them, they said, oh, and they didn't quite see that picture. Now, at that point, they already agreed then, and this is quite a few years ago when this first started. All they're doing now is once this river designation moved further along the course of getting past, it's coming back and we're still raising our concerns. So I think if we're going to write this letter, we need to repeat those concerns.
Well, there's that, and there is also the idea that an unelected, municipally unelected individual could be running the whole rivershed. And municipally, you have certain values that you have, and then there's other people that have other values, is all I can say. And so, do you follow what I'm saying there? Is that if somebody's going to be running the North Saskatchewan river system, they should be connected. Now, I can tie in another one though, like I'm no longer elected on that board. They elected somebody else for whatever reason. It's just an election. But like you guys have done before when I was on the Community Foundation, because we didn't have a vote, it was decided by council not to have me attend. So that's something that you guys can think about. That'll be up to you guys. But if we don't have a vote at the table, do we want to still fund it, and do we want to still be part of it? Now, they're creating a municipal caucus, but that'll be just underneath the whole organization, right? Pardon me? You want to be at the table, not on the menu. Yes, okay. I knew you were going to say that again. So that's where we're at, but we want to include more, like, this thing got rammed through fairly quickly, And even though the government, when they called me up about the political overreach, I still think that that's a possibility. Once you allow the federal fingers in to do something, the rules could change because they have overreach now. They say they wouldn't do that, and I couldn't think of an example, although there's been examples on a provincial level, like the Bighorn discussion, where that would have had impact across a number of municipalities. And there's other examples, I just can't think of them right now. Anthony?
So I would like to change that paragraph, third paragraph, to have some awareness created in that paragraph, the new paragraph, that expresses that there's a greater concern of effect by this new board than just along the riverbank and development along the riverbank.
Yeah, and they've done studies upstream too.
Yeah, so I would like to have that, take out almost that paragraph and put in, you know, we can choose our wording. Maybe we want to use the motion master for creating of this portion of a paragraph, or maybe we want to designate staff just to redo this and bring it back to next meeting if staff has enough information of what we're trying to accomplish.
You hear that, Rudy? More work.
Because I just don't feel comfortable with what we've got here, Bart.
Yes, okay. So let's rework it and make sure that we get it maybe more impactful, so that they just don't disregard this letter.
So do you want a motion for that, Rudy?
I would suggest we do that, so there's something on record.
Okay, I move that we direct administration to change the third paragraph to better address the concerns of how the designation of the North Saskatchewan River also affects lands along the tributaries.
Just a minute, I had a thought coming.
Sorry, okay.
Well, I can't remember who said it. But can we opt to elect out of the Canadian Heritage River System? Right? Like, can we opt out, you know, because we didn't opt in. Let's try. We could send a note along that lines, is that we would like to opt out of the Canadian Heritage, if that's what you guys want. The less controls you have, the more freedoms you end up with.
And maybe even, if we're gonna say that, Bart, maybe if we can try to push it from the standpoint, opt out with our section that runs through Brazeau County of the river system not being designated.
Yes, that's the point, yeah.
Make it clear to them what we're trying to say.
They probably won't let us, but at least it'll be noted.
Okay, do you want that part of the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, and Rudy, I would add to that motion then that we also ask, or add in there, that we request for the area of North Saskatchewan River within Brazeau County not to be part of the designation.
Go ahead, Rudy.
And just to tie into the previous conversation before the motion, I understand that that would be in consultation with the other co-signatories?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that's. I just don't understand what the upside is. Huh? Is it somebody gets the title of leading the discussion? Is it somebody gets a job out of it? Is it, like, I don't know. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? It's carried unanimous.
Thank you.
How about we take a 5-minute break? Call the meeting back to order. We've got, what I had was RMA election. Oh, no, we've got the municipal caucus. We were just talking about it, but we didn't deal with it yet. Pages 108 to 109. They had their elections, which is normal, and they've selected a new board, of which I'm not part of anymore. So I'm just saying that in the past, when we were invited to sit on a board, that if we didn't have a vote, we didn't support attending it. So I don't know if you guys want to still continue through with that or not. Kara, go ahead.
Do we fund this?
Yes, we
How
fund
much?
it. Do you know how much we fund it, Tina?
I'd have to look, but it's around $1,700 a year. We also fund the Athabasca watershed, and we don't participate in their board.
No, we don't participate, but we fund it. I think it's about $1 a capita
Yeah.
for the both of them.
Yeah, I
So,
know. Athabasca one is slightly less.
quite a
but-
bit less, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it's about $1,800, but I could get a number for you.
So it's funded. They are forming a municipal caucus, but that'll just be an advisory group to the board and still no vote, though.
Who's on the board right now? Who is the newly elected?
Christina,
Parkland County?
yeah, Parkland
Well,
County was on
Polsky?
there. I don't know, we'd have to get a new makeup of who all attended. There's EPCOR and there's about 12 people roughly. But we'd have to get an update from them who the members are now, because they just had their annual general meeting. And so you run, you don't get to speak what you're good for, sometimes nothing, but that's where we're at, so.
Yeah, my thoughts on this is, I do have a hard time paying when we don't have participation at the board level. This is a significant group with significant power, so I wouldn't want to walk away from the table either, because if you're not at the table, you're being served on the menu.
Yeah.
So do you have a terms of reference? What does the municipal caucus look like? Oh. Okay.
This is a new group that they were thinking of creating.
Here it is, yeah. Sorry, I knew I read it somewhere, but. Yeah. So I don't know, it's up to council, but I'm cautious with this.
Well, we can discuss it at organizational meeting as well, and go from there. So maybe just a deferred discussion of attending the municipal caucus till organizational meeting? Anybody? Donna?
I move to postpone discussion of the municipal caucus till when?
Till the organizational
Till the
meeting.
organizational meeting. Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Which one did I miss? Which one did I miss, Anthony? Okay, so we got RMA election?
We got economic strat discussion.
Sorry?
12E, economic strategic
Oh,
discussion.
that's on the additions here.
Yeah.
Okay, who put this one on?
Reeve, this was Councillor Gunderson's request from our information session on Friday to talk further about the conversation that we had with Bob Paul regarding him advocating for the county.
Okay. I'll let you lead on it there then, Glenn.
Yeah, this was a request from Bob Paul. He's not going to mention Brazeau County in any of his social media accounts unless he's been authorized from the county to do so. So that would be just showing pictures or even talking to other businesses about Brazeau County. So he would like to have authorization from council as a whole and that's kind of why we had him come, and that's kind of why we wanted him to see Brazeau County. So I think the whole point of this was to have him promote when he does go on tours and things like that, and goes Brazeau County, right? So
Yeah, he goes all over the world, and he's got all kinds of meetings that he can just add Brazeau County to his discussions. He thinks what we're doing is pretty amazing. And from what I've seen of him, I think he's a real worthwhile individual. He's different than a lot of consultants that I've met, and I think we're fortunate to have him lobbying for us as well. But he needs the authorization to be able to use this. Go ahead, Anthony.
At our meeting there, when we talked that day with Bob Paul, Rudy, I think you were going to need to probably work some kind of arrangement out with him, and then once we've got that done, then we can better authorize him. I think this might be jumping the gun if you haven't got that arrangement worked with him.
Through the Reeve, yes. One of the reasons that I reserved comment on Friday is that I think this is an area where I need to do a lot of work to get caught up to council and gather additional information. And in fact, I wasn't even sure what Mr. Paul was asked to come and present. And so I need a little bit more context. And to Councillor Heinrich's point, you know, I think my understanding is that our agreement with Mr. Paul effectively concluded with that presentation. So it would be helpful for me to spend an hour or two with council and talk about Western Economic Corridor, what our strategies are, what our expectations are, and get a better understanding of how best we can utilize those resources moving forward. Having said that, I don't know what harm it would do for him to advocate for us, and I'm not entirely sure why he requested permission to do that.
I just have two comments. One, I think because he's an international individual, I think he wants to make sure that he's not stepping on toes by promoting Brazeau County. So I think giving him the authority, he can't hurt anything by talking for us or talking about us at any of these places here. But he's really just trying to promote the county. He just, I think, is following a process where he doesn't defend somebody. Like, who gave you the authority to talk on our behalf? And that's what he wants. So there's that. Donna?
Oh, I think he's a great advocate for us. He doesn't want any money to do this. He just said that he would put us on LinkedIn.
Right.
So just putting that out there to somebody who is all over the world, it is, yeah, you want to talk about PR and what it can do for Brazeau County. Like, I think he could bring in who knows what. But if we're not out there, we're not out there.
Great. Anthony?
So then, I guess, is it to council and to Rudy as well? So is it your understandings that he did not expect any remuneration out of this whole process? Because to me, I don't know, I guess that's what's unclear for me. And I would hate to be making a motion directing him to do something and not knowing if there's a cost attached to that.
Well, we're not telling him to do anything.
Well, authorizing him to allow.
To author him to use our name.
Yeah, so I mean, for authorizing someone to use your name, usually they aren't doing that because of there's usually an attached cost to that.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about a fee or anything like that. It was just, I think it's just, he's just protecting himself there. I want to try to help you guys where I can, but I want to make sure that I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. Is that your understanding, Glenn?
Yeah, I don't think it was a money thing. Just if he is in Italy and he has a chance to talk about Brazeau County, that he would do so, right? And mention it. But he doesn't want to do that without council's permission.
And I think he used Italy, because we met with the guys there from Italy, and I didn't know they were the world's largest manufacturer of everything. You know, just, and he's actually doing some work for Italy as well, so it gives him some credibility as well that, you know, we've got municipalities in Canada that are looking for business people to locate at. Cody?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just wondering what he has to gain. I don't know about everybody, but I don't wake up in the morning and go to work for nothing. So I'm just wondering what he has to gain out of this potential arrangement.
Going out there to promote Brazeau County. But in the discussion, he could say, we've got municipalities in Canada that are looking for businesses to attend, so he's not gaining, he's just giving some opportunities to Brazeau. Like, this one is one of those ones where you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, he's done some work for us, he's appreciative of the work. I was impressed by his style, his demeanor. I was impressed by his ability to talk anywhere. And he said nothing but good things about Brazeau. And so it's not about going to work for us at all. I just think that if businesses said, well, where do they want us? Well, Brazeau County wants you, you know? So, in other words, he could say Brazeau County and we know nothing about it, right? And then all of a sudden, Rudy's getting some calls saying, hey, we heard that you guys are looking for this. Where did you hear that? Right? So it's really giving us a heads-up notice. I don't think there's anything for us to lose by allowing him to promote Brazeau County or to use us as examples. Glenn?
It would potentially give him extra business too. If he can work with companies to connect us together, there's a chance that they would pay him to make that connection with Brazeau County. So that may be the way that he's planning on. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of that world, but that might be the ways that people, when they make these connections, go that way.
Anthony, then Donna?
Well, it was my, I guess, impression is what I would say, that when I made the comment that meeting suggesting that Rudy and him would need to have a conversation before council would be approving them or should be approving them, there seemed to be a nodding on both ends of it, both of them from himself, Rudy, and also with, I thought, Brian. So that's where I'm coming from. I just tend to agree with what I think Cody is saying too, that usually if someone's doing something for you, there's usually an expectation of an invoice.
Yeah, well, there was nothing talk about money, so there's no expectation of a check. Donna, then Kara?
Well, I think if we're worried about that, all we have to do is ask him, like, is there, you know, I think the monetary value for him would be if somebody was coming here or wanted to know more about it, then perhaps there's I don't know, some kind of an agreement with going further. But just ask him, like, have Rudy ask him, is there a monetary, do you want money for this?
Yeah, so there's a way to deal with that efficiently. You could always make a motion that, you know, you give him authority to mention Brazeau County subject to no monetary exchange or something along those lines, if we're worried about the money. Kara?
Without trying to put words into his mouth, I think he was just asking out of courtesy. Anybody that is around the table, I believe, Glenn, you and I are probably the most active on LinkedIn and social media. I would make him aware of our social media policy. But honestly, there's nothing stopping him from posting on LinkedIn or social media in some form. I think he was just being courteous to ask us for permission. Just so you know, I post on those sites constantly and consistently with meetings, and my latest one was the premiere. The picture that we took is on LinkedIn. Like, we have, I would think he doesn't need to abide by it. He's not a shady character, no. But I would make him aware of our social media policy, and why not? We deal with people like this all the time. I think it was just a courtesy that he was asking. he actually technically doesn't really need our permission. I think it was just out of courtesy. But I think it would be advantageous to make him aware of the social media policy that we have, which is pretty standard across the board.
Okay, well, we could deal with that in some sort of a motion so that he gets at least some sort of correspondence from us saying that we have no issue with you using us as an example on LinkedIn. Here's our LinkedIn policy or our social media policy, and away we go. Is everybody okay with that approach? And somebody that knows how to make motion should make a motion. Kara? Glenn? Anybody?
I move to authorize Bob Paul with E5 Solutions to use Brazeau County as an example in social media and speeches.
Discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Anthony? Okay. Noted. Okay. I'm back now to RMA elections, Kara.
Thank you. So I asked for this to be put on the agenda. I would like councils to know my intentions. I do plan on putting my name forward for president for RMA this fall.
Okay.
I will thank you for your support. I've been vice president for the last 6 years. I would never be able to do this without your help, and everybody, and administration too. I know you guys are put to task as well with scheduling. It's difficult, and I do know I do miss stuff time to time, so I really appreciate council support in that. But I think it's time to take the next step. So just so you're aware, I will be a little bit busier, but honestly, I looked at Paul, the current president's schedule compared to what the workload that I have right now. It's maybe about, I worked it out because I'm a percentage person, about a 2 to 3% increase. Quite a bit of the work that we do is online now, it's virtual. It cuts down costs with travel and things like that. But I was asking, also going to ask for council support in seeking that. If I am unsuccessful in the bid for president, I will remain as VP. I don't need to resign from VP to run. And I actually don't even need to step aside. The elections happen, and whether I'm successful or not, yeah, the policies have changed, so.
Okay. Well, I always see value in being part of RMA. I was there for 6 years myself as the vice president. And so there's always inside sort of information that you get sometimes a day or two ahead of time within the policies of RMA that you're allowed to talk about things. But there's a lot of savings and stuff that go with it. As Kara's mentioned, she's, some of the things she gets to charge to RMA, which saves the county money as well.
Thousands of dollars right now, actually.
Yeah. Anthony?
Do you know who your competitors might be at this point?
Nobody has filed, so nothing official, but word on the street, Amber Link is going to run Tom Burton, John Burrows, Jean Rabick. So Amber Link is Reeve Weekland County. Jean Rabick is the Reeve from Beaver County. Tom Burton is a counselor in Greenview. And John Burrows is a counselor from Woodlands. But nothing is official until the filing date, so it's just all, I guess, all speculation at this point.
And this might be, just trying to understand, Paul isn't running then, eh?
Paul is not, and he has let his intentions known for the last, actually since, pretty much as he took presidency on 2 years ago. He told everybody it was his last term. There's actually also a bylaw within the organization. You can only be president, I believe it's either 4 or 6 years, I'd have to double check. But there is a cap on, for how long you can be president.
Okay, Donna?
So, do you need a motion?
There should probably be a motion on the book to support Kara for president.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to,
Support Kara Westerlund to run for president of
I
RMA.
was just going to say that.
No, you
To
weren't.
support Kara Westerlund to run for RMA president.
Okay, discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. There you go, Kara. You wrote down Bart to run for president?
If I can, oh, thanks.
Kara?
Thank you, council. It means the world to me. You guys know my first and foremost is Brazeau County, and I take any opportunity I can. Bart, I think, Glenn, you experienced it at Stampede. Even though I'm quote unquote got my RMA hat on, trust me, my Brazeau County hat's right there too as well. So I will continue to be that advocate too for county as well.
Great. Thank you for that. Good luck. Okay, Municipal Affairs, Canada Building Fund. Is this you, Rudy?
Just communication, page 111 in your package. And it's just an indication by the provincial government that they've renewed the agreement to have the Canada Community Building Fund in place for municipalities. As council may be aware, that's the new name for the former gas tax fund from the federal government.
$500,000. Yeah, that's, everything is good, right? Cody?
Yeah, so I would just actually had a question. Are we, how do I put it? Are we expected to do something specific with this money? Are we supposed to use it on bridges, or is this just a general revenue? I noticed that it comes from the Canada Community Building Fund, but it looks like it's a no strings attached. So I was just wondering if there's an expectation that we use this on something specific.
Rudy?
Through the Reeve, Councillor Brooks, there are some items that you have to technically apply for the fund. There are some items that they will indicate that you can't apply for, but by and large, it's a general infrastructure fund that we're able to utilize. It appears that they're moving to more opportunities to spend funds in different ways, but that hasn't been made clear at this point.
All right, so a motion to receive a letter from Rick MacGyver for information. Cody?
I move to receive the letter from Municipal Affairs for information.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. National Police Federation.
Reeve, this is a communication that we've received administratively approximately a month ago, and wanted to bring it to council's attention, and I would maybe ask Councillor Westland through you to talk about whether this conversation has come up at rural municipalities of Alberta or not. When we receive this, it appears that it's a kind of a blanket request to support a concept. And I think it's maybe over and above work that's already being done in the province with respect to a police funding model lobby.
Now, I think RMA, if I'm not, didn't support going to a provincial police force, whereas this sounds like you're trying to push that through again. Go ahead, Anthony.
These resolutions, the way I read them, are supporting the RCMP is the way I read them. And they're asking, is the way I would look at them, is for us to perhaps choose one of these two resolutions or come up with our own. But they offered two suggestive resolutions for us to forward at the RMA this fall to advocate on behalf of the RCMP continuing on as being the police force in Alberta. That's what I read into this.
Okay.
And from my point of view, I would suggest I would be more agreeable with the second resolution on page 117 of our agenda, that I think I would be more comfortable with rather than the first one. Kara has her light on.
Kara, go ahead.
Thank you. I believe this is a blanket approach, approach. I've actually had a couple of municipalities reach out to me on this, so I'm not sure who it all went to, but I know for sure I think it's been found out from the evidence that I'm seeing. I also have actually had calls from residents on this one. My initial thoughts and my opinion on this is, just so you're, maybe for information and then a part of my opinion on it, this is actually the RCMP's union. I would caution what we do with it and where we send letters of support from, as this is a union. I don't supporting unions. We're nonpartisan, and I don't believe it's somewhere that we need to be in, the world that we need to be in. We do have a resolution at RMA on the books to not support provincial police force. So, I mean, in matters of, if you ask me my opinion, I think you might see a municipality bring this forward to fall convention. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'll put my county hat on. I think it's inappropriate for us to be involved with this, especially coming from a union.
That might be the right solution. Glenn?
I move to receive the letter from Marion King for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Those opposed? Anthony? One opposed. Sure. We can have a quick break before we have public input. Have we got that screen where we can see who's on the screen there, Tina, as far as if there's people that want to call in? I just like to know if there's people that are there. And okay. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll open it up for public input. Everybody's here. I'll call the meeting back to order. Right now, it's public input time right now, and it's an opportunity for public to bring unannounced items that may not be on the council agenda. It's an opportunity to bring those ideas forward. We always ask if you've got an idea that you want to change or see something happen, that you direct all your calls and comments through the chair. Be respectful of staff and the elected officials, and the floor is now open. Yeah, you just have to come up to the front if you have an issue and speak into the microphone. Unlike me, I'm supposed to be 6 inches away so that
Okay.
you can hear and we can record you. So state
Sure.
your name and address and what your comments are.
Okay, I'm Shelley Greniger, and I live at number 5 Sunset Acres. My concern was that we've recently had some vehicles that are going rather quickly down our road, which is just off 494. I would say that the distance is about 200 feet, I'm not really sure, not very far to a dead end. And so I came into the county and asked how I was to go about of getting a speed limit sign put up there. And they said that they would have somebody call me with to talk. Nobody did call me back. And then a couple days or a couple weeks maybe later, there was a 50-kilometer-an-hour sign put up, which in my mind, I thought it would be like a 30-kilometer-an-hour sign or a 15-kilometer-hour sign. So 50 is probably what they're doing as it is, and there's dust flying, and there's kids, there's pets. Eventually grandchildren will be around in that area. The mailbox is right there, so there's lots of traffic. And so my concern is that 50 kilometers is just a little bit too high of a speed limit for that distance that the people have to go.
Okay, and that's what you're here probably for, Amro? Whereabouts on 494? I'm sorry, like, is it that way or this way?
Back towards the ski hill.
Okay.
This is Sunset Acres, it's the subdivision, not Country Club, it's the next one.
Yeah, there's 4 houses in there.
It's a short
Yeah.
distance of road, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, like, I don't know. I'm not good with that. 200 feet, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
it
Okay,
doesn't-
just one at a time talking, because I can't.
Sorry, it's not a very, it's like, not very far.
It's
And so, to be going that fast, I know that they did come and put something on the gravel recently to keep the dust down, but prior to that, like, dust was flying when they were going by and stuff, so, yeah.
Is that the same treatment that we did here on this portion, west of Highway 22, or is it something different? You'll have to come up to the microphone, or we almost need to have another microphone sitting there.
So that would be part of our dust control.
Okay.
Okay.
Our normal dust control.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in my email, I pretty much said the same things, was that, you know, there's kids, there's pets, there's no reason to be going that fast, and so my concern is just that it's, if I would have known that it was going to be put up to 50 kilometers, I would have never came in here and requested that a sign be put up, because I just assumed it would be a lower speed limit.
Okay.
So just context, there's 4 houses in there, that's it.
Yeah, what I'm thinking about is, we had a request to reduce speed limits there, west of McDonald's, and then there was people that opposed that idea. So,
I think this is a way different situation.
well, this is inside the subdivision, not
Yes.
on 494?
No,
No.
it's, you have to turn
Oh.
off to 494, so it's when they turn off of 494 where it's like 200 feet, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's literally 200 feet road of max. It comes to a dead end, and there's like a bit of a bulb to turn around, but there's 4 houses.
Okay,
There's no reason anybody should be doing 50 in there.
Mhm.
okay.
That's my concern.
All right, well, thanks for bringing that forward. Generally, when requests come in, just so you know the process, we usually have administration take a look at it and then make a recommendation at maybe the next council meeting, just so that there isn't opposition that
Okay,
comes up and you run it through a similar process, then we're not just ad hoc changing it one way, then we get an opposition group that says the other way. It probably will go through, is what I'm suggesting, but that's just the process we usually use.
okay. And will somebody notify me?
Yeah,
Just for process too as well, and administration, please, if I'm incorrect, this, anytime we do a speed change on any of our roads, it's a bylaw change. So you are correct, Bart, and Shelley, Mrs. Greniger, I believe that I let you know that in the email, that
You
there is
did.
a bit of a process. It's not gonna be, it'll probably take us a month or 2 to go through that process, but it's gonna have to come back regardless, because it's a bylaw change.
Okay,
And then it gets publicly advertised, or, yeah.
okay,
so you did the right thing,
okay,
bringing it forward, letting council know your concern,
yep,
and then we...
try my best.
Yes?
Yep,
No?
that's all I can do. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you very
Perfect,
much.
thank you.
Anybody else got any issues they want to bring forward? State your name, Louise.
Good, okay. Good morning, Reeve Bard and Council. My name is Louise Alchurch. I'm here on behalf of Indigenous Tourism Alberta. I've started into this group. I'm taking courses with it to bring more awareness to this area for Indigenous and Métis culture. And I believe this is something that I would really like to sit down with all the councillors or a group to go over what Indigenous tourism is all about. There's a lot of Métis people here. We are involved with First Nations, which would be Sunchild and O'Chief. I haven't got back to them, but I am a Métis citizen of this county, and I am really wanting to promote tourism in this area with the Métis. This used to be this whole area between Edmonton and Rocky Mountain House was their gateway for their supplies in and out, for building, the whole 9 yards. So I'm coming forward to you today to introduce myself with this and find out if there is a committee that I would be able to sit down with. Also, Truth and Reconciliation is next month, and I would like to see as good faith from this council, if it's possible. Yes, I really appreciated all your help to fly the flag for us, for the Métis. But I am now asking, is there a way that we could have a flagpole with it permanently up there? Because this is Treaty 6, which is Cree, Sioux, and Lakota, and the homeland of the Métis and Inuit, and it made my heart sing, right, to see that flag. So I would like to be able to talk to people and bring that forward. Sorry, I get emotional when I talk about my ancestors, because they were on this land, so.
Okay, so you'd have to run by a proposal to us on how you would like to see that done
Okay,
and send it into administration, and then it's talked about
okay,
at a council meeting.
okay.
All right, so that might be the process you may want to go down.
Okay, so sending a letter to,
Yeah, and just, you know, what you would like to see happen,
okay,
and what your requests are. Just like the lady before you,
okay,
requests come forward, and then we have to take a look at how that'll involve us, and then make a decision once we get all the information.
okay.
All right?
Okay. That's what I'd like, so. Any questions in regards to Indigenous? I am in contact with head office out of Edmonton, and they are working constantly with Métis Crossing, which is a big Métis settlement out there, and I would like to see that here if possible, but I will put that all in and that kind of stuff. I am going to be meeting with the Drayton Valley Tourism. I don't know if there is a tourism group with you guys. I don't know. That's what I'm also asking. If that's who I will be after the procedure, will that be what I'll be talking to? I'm just asking those questions now.
Great. Put
Yeah.
that all in the letter so that we've got it in writing, and,
Okay,
all right?
all right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
bringing that forward. All right, anybody else online or in council here? Anybody got any issues? Anybody from the gallery? You got another one?
Yep. Have you guys changed the formula for dust control? Because on my road, on Range Road 70, off of 502, I've noticed that it's not standing up like it used to. So I'm just asking, has it changed?
We'd have to ask Amaro on that one. He'll have to come forward again. Sorry for all the activity there, Amaro, but
Just if you don't mind just repeating exact section.
Okay, it's 50228 Range Road 70, Whitby Hall area.
I would need to take this one back and review it with my staff and provide you with the information, if you don't mind.
And Louise, just from my own personal testimonial, is I think because we've had such hot weather, I've noticed a lot of the dust control areas are brown dust now instead of yellow dust. It's just because it's been so dry that the dust control, I don't think, is holding up because of all the heat that we've had, but I'm not sure about that as well.
That's why, if you don't mind, I'll need to go there, inspect it, and review it with my staff.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I don't know what you guys have noticed, but the dust control just doesn't seem to be lasting like it did, so maybe this will answer numerous questions, unless it's just the heat and the dryness. I can't hear you, Kara.
Yeah, I've noticed it too, because I do quite a bit of driving out in our area, and I wonder if it is a bit of that, because once we do get a little bit of rain and stuff, it gets kind of reactivated. And I do believe we don't use calcium chloride anymore. We use MG30, which is, I'm trying to think when we made that change. Anthony, help me out. It has, has it been 5 to 8 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a while.
Oh, more like 15, thank you. I knew somebody would know, okay. No, I've got cold mix from the highway.
Oh, okay.
My cold mix is 28 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Don't use mine as an example. My road's
No,
actually
I'm just,
mine's starting to fall apart.
no, we had some applications in some of the subdivisions. I just thought you'd know firsthand yours.
Yeah, no, I believe mine's cold mix off of when they redid a strip off of Highway 22. Alberta Transportation needed to put it somewhere, and that's how. And if you go in my subdivision, it actually is not in, it's, part of the road is done and there's parts that aren't done.
Okay. All right, once again, third and final time, anybody here that wants to bring any issues forward? Nobody online? Okay, we'll come out of public input and carry on with the rest of Brazeau County business. I think we're on.
We could probably go back to 12C now.
12C, sure, we can go back to that right now. Kara, go ahead.
Thank you, and I appreciate council allowing that item to wait till we heard from Mrs. Greninger. My suggestion would be a motion to direct administration to come back with a report, as well as a bylaw, a potential bylaw change.
Okay, you heard that, Amro?
It's just a suggestion, I haven't made a motion at this point.
Okay. Go ahead,
Just on that, I took a drive down that road just to see, and 15 kilometers is far too slow for it. 30 would probably be right. What I found is 50 is way too high, because by the time you get up to 50, you're going to run off the end of the road there. So, but 30 to me seems like a reasonable speed, and I think that's what Mrs. Greninger thought this sign was going to be. But 15 is unbearably slow.
go ahead, Kara.
Correct me if I'm wrong through administration. I believe our bylaw states subdivisions are 50 kilometers an hour, so I think that's why when maybe it was raised and the sign went up, it was probably, they're just following what the bylaw states. Yeah, okay. So I move to direct administration to bring back to council recommendation for the speed on, within the Sunset Acres subdivision and the applicable bylaw change.
Discussion, all those in favor? Those opposed? Dallas, okay. All right, Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors, Highway 621, pages 19 to 120. We're always a page off. Are you guys all the same? Mine doesn't start on 19, it starts. It's the asphalt we were just talking about, Tina. So, Brian was going to talk to the chief of staff about this letter. I think, once again, we get a no, but we just keep going until we get an yes. And this doesn't sound like the words that Devin Dreeshen gave us when we had a direct meeting with him. It was different. He said, maybe you guys just pay for the engineering and we'll send you a check afterwards. Now this is just a straight flat out no. And saying that the road is adequate. I don't think they understand the depth and the width of the wide loads that are coming through that area. And we may have to do something like getting road counts ourselves to see what we can do about it. Pardon me? Need to drive the road when they're hauling stuff. Go ahead, Cody.
I just wanted to note the reason that you probably have two different answers is because when you talked to the minister, that was the minister, and this letter is probably his administration, just giving you the line.
I made this aware because I saw the letter earlier with Andrew Bochenko, and he says he's going to see what he can do. So all you do is try. Glenn?
I move to receive the letter from the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors for information.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Thanks, Glenn. All right, I think we're on councilor reports if I haven't missed anything. So is this where we just receive these reports for information and then we go on later on with the other ones?
Reeve, this is unusual, but I've put both your committee reports and your council reports on this agenda because we missed the summer meetings, and then we'll toggle back and forth again in September. So they're both on here today.
Okay, so the first group, that needs to be received for information. And then we go on talking about the ones on, where it starts with Breton District. So the first one is the group of meetings that you need to approve for ratification of all those meetings we attended. Kara,
I move to receive council reports for information.
discussion, all those in favor? It's carried unanimous. Now we go to Breton and District FCSS.
No meeting, no report.
Okay. NPC,
Met, sorry. Just recently met as NPC. Not much to report. Our minutes are all there and everything's available to the public, so just indulge and enjoy yourself. Ask questions if you have any.
okay. West Central Airshed, Donna? Eleanor Pickup, Donna?
They are looking into a new appraisal. I can't remember the company, or even if they found a company yet, for the addition that is really needed. Yeah, that's about it. It's just lots of hubbub about the addition.
Okay. Wildfire Working Group?
Oh, boy. There's like 10 pages to, but you'll get it all in the final report. Like, I don't know. Do you guys want me to bring back?
10-page report,
Do you?
It'll go out, once the report's done, it'll get card and we'll send it out to you.
Yeah. And that's in October, so
Okay. Early Childhood?
no meeting.
Yellowhead Regional? Cody?
My reports are attached for Yellowhead Regional Library, Brazeau Foundation, and the Recreation Board.
All right, thank you. Drayton Valley Municipal Lord, Glenn?
Library. So it's attached on page 125. I did have a question for council. That meeting started out with a forward that we wouldn't be approving the agenda or the minutes. I'd just like some input from council as to what your thoughts are on that. Starting the meeting without approving the minutes or the agenda as presented. Does anybody have any comments on it?
I'm not sure I'm following. Is that a library?
The library
correction?
board meeting. So we had a meeting, we had the agenda, and the chair said that we would no longer be approving the agenda at the start of the meeting or the past minutes.
I don't know what the rationale is, but usually agenda is so that you keep some sort of order throughout the meeting, and then passing in the minutes saying that you approve it, the direction that you're going, at least from a library point of view. Anthony?
Some of you that were here a while back when we had some conversations, when we didn't approve our minutes, I guess is what I'm going to say, in that particular meeting, there was no meeting, because if you're not approving your agenda, I mean, first of all, your agenda is what sets out your parameters of your meeting. My opinion is, based on that history, and when you're having a meeting, you're not just going there to talk. There's supposed to be a consequence of topics you're talking about, and you should be approving that list of things. If you want to add to it, that's where you have motions to add to it. So I feel that they should be approving their agendas. Otherwise, my opinion is, I don't think they have a legitimate meeting going, because you need to approve your start of your meeting with adoption of an agenda.
Dallas?
I agree. The libraries function underneath the Act and the regulation. You have to follow the Act and the regulations. Without the adoption of the minutes or the agenda, you don't have a meeting. You must.
whose idea was that? I mean, just, is that the chairman's new direction, Glenn?
That came from the consultant, Margaret Law, and she ran some big libraries in the city. And yeah, she's got a big background, and that was her recommendation. So that was the uphill battle I was dealing with, was somebody way more experienced than me coming at it, but I could try it again. The other issue is that you might not be aware of, I've never been a trustee for the past, I guess, 8 months for the library, or 10 months, 12 months. I haven't been a library trustee. I've been voting as one, but I haven't been one. The town never appointed me. So yeah, there was a bit of a mess as far as what do we do, as far as do we keep my motions, do we just void them? So there's some questions there. The Yellowhead Library, Yellowhead Regional Library is going to make a recommendation on that. There is a meeting coming up, I'll go, this Thursday. I don't know if I'll be voting or not, but yeah, it was just kind of it was an honest mistake, but yeah, it's interesting. I thought I'd let everybody know.
Go ahead, Kara.
It might be being facetious, so council can shut me down, but if they don't have an agenda, how are you voting? Sorry. Maybe that's my reasonableness hat being set on, but if they're not approving an agenda in minutes, how are you recording motions? And anyways, sorry.
Well, then you should be asking, why haven't I been appointed by the town? But they're gonna appoint you then?
At their next meeting, they were going to appoint me, so.
Okay.
But I haven't heard one way or another if I got through.
So doesn't that just violate the whole process?
It's a mistake. You can't undo it.
You can't undo it. No.
It was, the library went to go get their funding from YRL, and we were declined because they threw my name on there, and then YRL said, this is incorrect, you've added this trustee, this is a mistake. So now it's hampered our ability to get funding until this gets straightened out. So that has actually set Brazeau County back, Lee Chambers in particular, getting his budget prepared. So he was asking for our just preliminary budget to be sent in, and we can't do that unless we know exactly if we're gonna even get the money this year. So yeah, it's all on me for some reason, again.
But are we gonna lose that money from YRL, or is it just be delayed in coming once they change the status?
Probably delayed. Hopefully delayed. Hopefully delayed.
I got another follow-up question, but I'll go to you, Anthony.
The town, from what it sounds like, just made an error in not appointing, overlooked in appointing them. So I don't figure once that explanation has come from the town to Yellowhead Regional Library Association that there'll be a problem. I just think that they weren't aware of it. Now, they pointed out the mistake that the town made. It's a different situation than we have at Breton, where they didn't appoint one of our representatives. So they also didn't include our name there, or my name, whatever, on that list, so therefore Breton wasn't flagged by the Yellowhead Regional Library. So it works either way. But it's just, since we have representation in the county there, since they listed Glenn's name and the town forgot to appoint him, that's the glitch. And once the town does their appointment, I'm positive that monies will come, and that's all the Yellowhead needs.
So what about our funding? Because you get money from Yellowhead Regional, but then you get money from Drayton Valley and the county. We usually approve that, and I'm just guessing, at final budget, right? And then that's where the legal authority comes, as far as we're gonna allocate, I don't know how much money do we allocate? 150,000? That's, because those are big numbers, right? So what did we appoint it to if we don't have a representative? Where did the 150,000 go? It went without having a representative there? This is starting to just
Well, that's the
confuse
same
me.
with Breton, though. We've contributed X number of dollars to Breton with no representation there. Council?
And that's done at our final budget, or is that just an ongoing thing?
No, that was what happened as a consequence of this last fall. But before there, we always had representation there, and now we've committed them the money, but we don't have a council person sitting there. Even though when that person is sitting there, they're not a counselor, they're there as a trustee.
Right? Like the school board.
Yeah. But the Breton one and Drayton one are two separate things. This one that Glenn brought up is just that Drayton forgot to send his name in and appoint him. So once they make that motion of their council appointing him and send it in to Yellowhead, so Yellowhead's aware of it, that problem that Glenn just brought up was over with.
Does Glenn need a motion from us to that to occur? No. No?
No.
Okay.
He's just bringing it to our attention, as far as I'm aware of, to make us aware of the mistakes that were occurring at the town.
Great. All right. Ag Service Board, while you're talking, Anthony?
Okay, from what I can remember right now, we talked about the trailer for firefighting that we had authorized to be constructed, has been fully implemented or built, and it's available for anyone that's doing, say, brush fire, lighting brush piles and the like, to help them, assist them in maintaining the fire. As well, there were conversations on some of the weed issues and that, and directions given, but nothing more out of the ordinary than usual weed concerns. And no, it's top of my head, that's all I can remember right now. Glenn, did you have anything else, or Dallas? And then we have a meeting tomorrow.
What's the policies on the chemical rebate? I've been kind of out of touch and all those kinds of things.
Well, we haven't changed them in the last, this term, have we, Dallas? That's not that I remember.
Okay. And have we sent out any weed
Reports?
reports? Yeah.
Yes, there are some weed reports have gone out. I don't know to who all, but some have gone out. Okay.
Now, did you get a weed report or a weed notice?
Probably is a report, and the notice is a little different. The notice means you have to get it done, or otherwise county will step in to start doing enforcement next stage. But usually what they're setting out when they call it a weed report, it's making you aware if you have these weeds and that you need to get them cleaned up.
All right. FCSS?
Right, Melanie, no meeting. No meeting for Eagle Point, Blue Rapids either. And no meeting for Pembina Synergy. No meeting for Breton Library for me.
Kara?
No meetings.
Kara?
No meetings.
For either one?
No.
Okay, Alice? There was one meeting where we had a couple of applications. That's back, I believe, was that in August, the Alice meeting? Yes. Okay, so there was a couple of new applications there. We dealt with them. Warbird seed cleaning, there was a meeting back in July, but it was more of an appreciation dinner and supper with the members. It has been a while. North Saskatchewan, I informed you on the status of what's going on there. Tech investment, we had a meeting with Bob Paul. We've talked about that. So that's about it there. There has been other people interested, especially the fellow that does vertical seismic, but that'll be probably at the next tech committee that Brian will sort out. All right, we're on to Mayor's Gala. What's your wishes there on that one? Kara?
I move to receive council reports for information.
Oh, okay. Discussion? All those in favor? That makes it legal. Mayor's Gala. I think it'd be noticed if we didn't attend. Go ahead, Kara.
Just for discussion before I make the motion, mine would be to purchase a table. Is there discussion, maybe get two tables and staff and council? I believe, I'm not sure we've done, okay, just purchase a table and then authorize council's attendance, so.
Okay.
Comfortable with that? I move that council purchase a table for the Mayor's Gala, September 19th, and authorize council's attendance.
Discussion, all those in favor? You guys are lucky, because they wanted to make it a joint Mayors and Reeves meeting, and then I'd be up there speaking, but you guys get to hear enough of me here. But that might be an idea in the future. All right, interim budget discussions? You know, and if you can't make it, and if we can't change them, the budget discussions is one thing, but what's important that you attend is the final budget in the springtime, Donna, because that's when legally we can spend that money. But if you miss some of the budget discussions, these are things that, you know, administration and elected officials bring forward to discuss, whatever those issues may be, whether it's whatever it is. But the critical meeting is during final budget, when you're actually authorizing the expenditure of money. And so we do an interim one so that we can carry on with the operating business, and then you have your capital one where you finalize it. And as, like, I'll just use last year, we had the initial discussions about the road that Dallas was promoting, right? And then it was taken off at final budget. So it's not final till final budget, one way or the other.
That's why I don't like that process.
You don't like that process? Well, but that's what we've been doing for 30-some years, and all you can do is you put forth ideas throughout the year of what you want to see funded, and it may or may not get funded. I know you, sorry, I'm rubbing salt in the open wound here. Dallas, I apologize. Kara?
A couple of things, yeah, and it's also an interim budget, and it's more important, in my perspective, for the capital stuff to get done so that we can get tenders out as quick as we can. Just more food for thought. I'm not supporting it one way or the other, but I'm really surprised how many municipalities I talk to on the rural side that actually do their budgeting in August and September for the next year. And they're done. By the end of September, everything is set, and their tenders are going out earlier in the fall. My question maybe to admin too is, we have seen significant savings once we get those tenders out quicker. Are we starting to fall back behind, because that seems to be the route municipalities are taking now and getting their tenders out in October for the following year? We're not seeing too much yet. I don't know. That's, I guess, kind of a question. But yeah, I'm actually really surprised. We're one of the few ones that, apparently November is late in the year to do it.
Maybe we should be doing our budgets years in advance, 5 years.
That was actually the other point, Cody. You raised something very good. The other thing is councils generally set their budgets first year elected. Everything's pretty much set in stone for the next 4 years. And then they keep pretty close to those budgets. So they're saying it gives residents reassurance and the know of what's going to happen over the term that they're in office. But that's a whole nother discussion.
Right, and I think probably 80% of what we talked about early goes through. You know, it's just that we have been flexible over time, that projects come in near the end of the year. We still look at those as well.
Well, and by law, I believe by legislation. Are we not? We have to have a 1-year budget, 3-year budget, a 5-year, like we have to, by law, have to have that.
Yeah, and that's the direction the province is going. And so, first of all, for the interim budget, it's to accommodate, mostly to accommodate the legislation, because we're required to have a budget approved prior to January 1st of the year in question. Otherwise, the municipality technically cannot operate. So That's why everybody's gone to an interim budget. There's further reach on this that's in the legislation or coming in the legislation. Whether good or bad is for some debate, but there is an expectation that municipalities will go to 3-year operating budgets at a minimum and 5 to 10-year capital budgets, so that you can come in every year and review and make some changes. But on the tender process, there's a huge advantage there, so that we're always moving ahead and getting the tenders out, because January is getting late in the tender process. The calls are usually starting to come in November.
But if everybody does them at the beginning, there might be an advantage to them later on, because, right, because then you got everybody putting that slug in January, and then there might be an advantage to do it afterwards. But the other thing is, we don't know how much money we're gonna have. Now, I mean, Colin has been good, and he said last budget that we're gonna have an extra $2 million for this following budget. He was right that this year we had the extra $2 million, and he said it's forecasted with the pipelines and all those things that are coming online that we're gonna have an additional $2 million next year. I've seen this, Rudy, and we're a little different. We're kind of a very young municipality. There's still a lot of needs that are out there, and so we're like the child in the candy store. Everybody wants to do more that they can, and until you know your final numbers, you might be overshooting or undershooting. And then council has put new projects on to serve more ratepayers as well. Go ahead, Kara.
Maybe just food for thought too. We are a young municipality, but there's also more older municipalities whose infrastructure is failing, so we're competing with them, I think, on a whole different level too as well.
Yeah, you're right, but it's because we're needy. But look at where we've come, you know, in 25 years. 2 roads paved, now there's 200. You know, water and sewer upgraded in most of the facilities. Lagoons upgraded, you know, in most of the communities. So we've accelerated that growth because we were starving before we were created. And there was a lot of people that worked hard to create this municipality, and because of that, we've been catching up at an accelerated rate. Those people from Leduc. Go ahead, Amber, did you have something to say?
We will be including in the capital budget engineering, an item for engineering, which we have our 5-year program, but every year we'll have a separate item for engineering, which we can start the engineering work in the same year. So we're gonna have tenders ready for January. So that's the plan. It's this when the contractors are hungry, so that's to get the best prices.
Any budget speeches? Well, Donna's saying she's got a conflict, that she can't attend any of them?
I can attend on the 20th.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm gone.
Well, we sometimes don't use all of those dates anyway, but if you can give your input on the 20th, you can always send in written requests of whatever you want to see changed to as well. You won't have a vote, but unless you want to call in, or you cross the pond somewhere.
No.
Cancel your trip?
Not across the pond.
Cancel your trip?
Well, I don't know what made me,
No, you know, I'm just gonna say this, we've tried to accommodate it every we can, and you never know, there could be changes that come down the line before that anyway. So, attend the 20th, and if you can't call in, like Kara's been pretty good at that, calling in and supplying input, whether you wanna wreck your holiday or not, that's up to you. And other than that, you can just put some stuff in writing on your thoughts between now and then.
I'm gonna see if I can move it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's just approve the dates as, Donna?
Oh, sorry. I move to approve the interim 2025 interim budget discussion meetings for November 20th, 21st, 25, and 26 from 9 until 3 p.m.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Truth and Reconciliation. Motion to authorize the Reeve. Be nice if I could have a speech in Cree. Chi or no chi. I think that means mosquito or no mosquito. I think. Kara,
I move to authorize the Reeves attendance and to speak at Truth and Reconciliation. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Reeve and or designate. Thank you, Anthony.
discussion, all those in favor? Okay, carried unanimous. Alberta Day Heritage Museum. Where is that the new name for our museum? It's called the Heritage Museum? I guess it is about heritage, isn't it, now, when you think about it? Glenn?
I move to authorize the Reeve or a designate to speak and attend the Alberta Day at the Heritage Museum, September 1st, 2024, at 10 o'clock a.m.
Discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Invitation to attend the RN launch. Reaver designate. Oh, yeah, the RNs will be able to train here locally.
This is the first time we're involved, right?
Right. Anthony?
Need a motion, I move to authorize the Reeve or his designate to attend the RN launch August 27th, 2024 at 11:45.
I think there should be an opportunity for others to attend, yeah, with council. Yeah, okay. So, yeah,
Okay, you can change it to council instead of the Reeve. Yeah, all Reeve is part of council.
yeah. Okay, discussion on Anthony's motion to authorize all of council? Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. We need to set a date. We need to set one of the nets. They tell us when we're gonna have our meeting. I don't have my computer with me. I made a mistake. I left it at home. So, let's just follow that. If there's happens to be conflicts, we'll deal with it. Unless there's, pardon me?
The week suggested there was good for Ryan, but he would be open to whatever council was ready for.
Oh, so those are the dates he's available.
That week, he's available that week.
So we just need one day then?
Yes, please.
Okay, I don't know if you've got my calendar in front of you there, Tina?
Currently, the council calendar is clear for that week.
Okay, then just pick a date. 23rd? Good, go ahead. Make a motion.
I'm asking everybody else, I was doing a vote, straw poll. 9 a.m.? Okay, I move to set the Emergency Advisory Committee meeting for September 23rd at 9 a.m. at County Council Chambers. or
Discussion?
EOEC room, sorry.
All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Premier, did you just want to state that she gave us a good listening to?
There was one before that, but I put AB Muni's conference before that, and it's on the additions, 35G.
Oh, yes,
Premier's is next.
the morning crew.
So I believe it's in your additions to the agenda. It's AB Muni's convention. They hold theirs only once a year. I've attended in the past on behalf of RMA. I just brought it to council's attendance, completely up to you guys, but I would suggest at least 1 or 2 people go. I'm not going this year for RMA. They're sending somebody else, but usually really good intel on what's going on. They come to ours, and you quite often, you'll see town council at our conference. They come and sit with us, so it's up to you guys, but I would encourage that a couple people go. Listen, just like you, same rules, we're not allowed to speak through resolutions. You're there to hear and gather intel.
Great.
We are heading into ICF's negotiations in the next year or two. It might not hurt to be there.
I agree. You have to know how the enemy is speaking so that you can understand, not that they're the enemy, but you have to understand where they're coming from, because, you know, the one meeting they went at, there was a question raised of what's stopping you from amalgamations, and Tom McGee put Bart on the board. And then I think one of the other ones, they asked him, and he put Bart as well. So at least it's out there that I don't support amalgamations. But I don't know if they would have done that if I was there.
I was there. I don't know if you were there, and I was there, and I reported that back to you guys.
Yeah, you reported it back.
Yeah, I think I was in the room when that got, and there was another individual too that's very, anyways, it was quite interesting, but, yeah, I've been around a block. This one is, I would say at least
Three.
two or three should be going. And then you can disperse and take in the different sessions. I mean, we usually do that anyways if there's more than one attending. Don't go to the same thing and take it all in.
What's your thoughts, councillors? Somebody should make a motion. Kara?
I move to authorize up to 3 councillors to attend the AB Muni's 2024 Convention and Trade Show in Red Deer.
Now, is our CAO allowed to go as well?
Yep.
He'd be separate, okay. You probably know all their internal workings anyway. You can show us where the tunnels are, what the secret is to JFK, you know, and anything else that you know of.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Well, I'll be interested to go. Dallas? So who is the third one? Oh, I thought you were going with, oh, you're not going. Okay, so you're not going then, Kara? Okay, so who else is there? Oh, I see, okay, so you are going then, with us?
If you'll allow me, yes.
Yeah, I'll
see if I can get us invited into places we're not supposed to be.
Okay. All right, great. So was that in the form of a motion?
No, we already passed the motion. She was just wondering who's still.
We haven't voted on it. Okay, so we have to vote on it. All those in favor? Those opposed? Anthony, Glenn, and Cody, okay. Premier's meeting?
I know it's after the fact, but we should ratify the meeting on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I apologize to council. Just the background on the Premier's meeting, I found out late Friday night that our Premier, well, I didn't find out. We knew she was coming to town. What I didn't know was she was meeting with the town. So I negotiated as quickly as I could a meeting with the Premier the next day. So I think we should ratify it. Glenn or Bart Admore, we got about 25 minutes with her, and we discussed WEC, Western Economic Corridor, as well as
621.
621, so.
No, it wasn't probably.
Was it more like 10? No, it's up to 2 hours. Not charging half a day.
You only charge a quarter of a day for that.
Yeah.
The other stuff we attended was on our own.
Maybe give council, and I know it was members only, but what was discussed at the town hall? There was a town hall before. I'm not asking because that was a members only and we're not allowed to technically, well, we're not. But you guys were in attendance. Maybe just give council.
I raised the issue of 621 and how we've kind of led municipalities Glenn got up and asked another question, I can't remember what it was something to do with the 8% reduction in corporate taxes. Glenn, go ahead.
Yeah, that was their number one campaign promise. When they started was not an 8% tax reduction. It was straight 8% tax on any income under $60,000. That was their number one campaign promise. And they've just kind of pushed that aside and pushed that aside. And I just asked her where she was on that, but that had nothing to do with council. That was,
She probably didn't
it's
answer.
just roads and everything else was taking precedent over that. But it's hard to, it's hard to balance that out when you're $4.5 billion surplus, and it's like, if we can't do a tax cut now, then exactly when are we going to plan on doing this? But that was, like I said, it had nothing to do with council. That was on my own.
What was
No, but it tied together because she said they didn't have enough money to do it, right? But you made a good point to that. It's hard to say no when you got money. It's easier to say no when you got no money. But they're moving in the right direction, which is positive on that side of things. So.
What were the other questions from the floor? I was there near the tail end, so a lot of stuff around COVID. Okay, there was some of that too, so, okay. Yeah, I don't want to get into details, just kind of what was generally some of the topics that were discussed. Did the hospital get brought up, the closure, the rolling closures and state of healthcare in the province? Okay.
And there was a notice, a sign, when you drove into the thing, don't get sick at night because there's no emergency.
Well, I had that initial reaction, point well taken. The problem is we have people visiting this community or that don't do the research and have the knowledge, they actually think our hospital is closed permanently, just so you know, with that, the way the sign is reading. And I know, just sitting back and a little bit sobering, I know the town's doing some stuff, just so you guys are aware, a little bit going locally, the town, I don't know if those signs are still up, because I think they might have taken them down. They're still up? Okay. So just the flip side, I get the joke and I know what we're trying to intend, but people that are visiting our community don't understand and they actually think our hospital's permanently closed. So I know it's been closed quite a bit lately, but if you were having a heart attack and you didn't know any better, what we just did?
Right, you scared people away.
You're scaring people.
Yeah.
Right?
Marathorpe, I got a little more information on that. They actually built a house for the doctors. So the doctors don't live in Marathorpe, they live in the city, but they'll come out and spend 3 or 4 days in Marathorpe, and that's how they've attracted 4 new doctors and gotten that practice up and going. So they invested, I guess, in infrastructure, and that point being a house to get
Just
bring
for
the
a
doctors
day
in.
stay kind
And
of
that
thing.
might be something we have to look at too, is actually building a very nice house and just letting the doctors have it, and then they can come in.
They also raised the issue of Brazeau babies are born on highways. So that was raised. I think it was that meeting, wasn't it? Yeah. Kara?
So cautious. I do sit with the Pembina Physician Recruitment Committee, so I do have a little bit of insight. We actually have quite a few doctors in this town. Housing is not an issue. Part of the issue is clinics not allowing more doctors to come in. And I'll say that gently. I've experienced pushback from, I'm not gonna name, there's the clinics in town, but they just don't want any more doctors. They like the big patient load, and it comes back to billing and the way they charge out. You also have to remember, we have doctors in this community that don't have hospital privileges. They've made that personal choice. We can't force them to work in the hospital either. And if you do attend the hospital, unfortunately, I've spent a lot of time in there in the last 6 months between myself and my kids. I've had one local doctor the entire time, and I've probably had 8 visits in the last 6 months. And only one doctor, it's locums that are coming in. There's a lot to this. There's complexity. There is scheduling issues, and I'm hearing from the frontline workers in our hospital, it's actually scheduling issues from Alberta Health Services based out of Wetaskiwin. So yet again, goes back to that problem. We don't have proper management at this facility. The other piece is if you've got a local doctor working, the graveyard shift at the hospital, they're not taking patients the next day in their clinic because they need sleep. They can't work 20 hours a day. So that goes back to that whole scheduling. So every community's needs are a little bit different. There is some municipalities in the province where the municipality owns the clinic and does all the business side, and the doctors just be doctors. That seems to work. You've got a community up north, actually. I was just in La Crete a couple weeks ago. 14,000 people. They don't have a hospital. They don't even have you want to talk, their birthing rate right now is 25%. It's huge. It's crazy. I was just there. It's insane. You talk about babies being born on, I think they said 1 in 2 babies in that region is born on the highway right now because they've got no facility. They're getting a birthing center. So they're getting, literally, that's all this place is just for people to go have babies. And they're not even looking at a hospital. So anyways, different issues in different communities, but housing is not an issue here. I think we've got some other complex issues.
Donna?
Just, I've been to the hospital about 3 times in the last month and never got a doctor from town. So, yeah, they bring doctors in as much as they have to. It just, what did Kara say? Management issues.
Well, it shows you how well centralization works if you're the center. Do you mind giving your presentation early? Like Helen ready? Not as Helen ready? You don't know who that is? She was the woman who started the theme song for the women's movement. Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Nobody likes me singing, so I'll stop. So if you want to make a presentation, come up to the microphone. State your name for the record and what your wishes are.
I'm going to state my name for the record as Barbara Foley, and what was the second thing?
Oh, just what's your issue?
Oh, not an issue, a solution, right?
Okay.
I've spoken to a few of you folks, so hello, and thank you for guiding me to this forum. I'm not going to give you the actual municipal address, well, unless it's necessary, but I don't know if you have them all memorized, but I'll give you the road request number, ROAD-0288. That's what we're speaking about today. I think you have right up there. It is known as the Buston property. This property is landlocked. We certainly have been enjoying it this summer. It was purchased by Colin Clark, who's a realtor, I think is known in the area, in February, and now we're learning a little bit about the community and what are the next steps. And I have to say that Tina and Pippa and the folks here, when I call and ask all my silly questions, have been super helpful. So thank you for that. Just to help you understand it, I don't know what you know. I think you guys are one big happy family, and everybody knows about every single property. This is what I seem to be discerning. But so the property is landlocked, yet there are many lease roads that go in. One road we've been expressly forbidden to use by the owner, and the other one has said, you go right ahead, you go right ahead and use that. And that's the one on the north side. So that's how we've been going in, setting up shop, enjoying the area. This person is in the stage of his life that he's starting to divest. And so there is the risk that he will divest and the next folks will say, no, no, no. So you can't go through that road. So any infrastructure that I put in place, I might have to helicopter out. So this is why I'm coming to you. So I'd like to actually tell you a little bit about myself, my partner, that we are in fact entrepreneurs, feel very comfortable in that role. You know, we're at building, landscaping, as you see a lot of in Alberta, you know, half the season you're building and landscaping with large pieces of equipment, and then you use those large pieces of equipment to push snow. Because of the size that we are and the equipment we have, where we do large malls, or, for example, the River Cree. We're responsible for the River Cree, of making sure that it's at 2 centimeters of snow, that's got to come off, so that's not a lot of snow. So also familiar with the oil and gas industry. My partner did the whole Albertan boy thing from lease hand all the way to driller, so feels really comfortable when he's looking at that piece of land on our property and that piece of land, that, you know, if Ricochet, which is under new management, but Ricochet needed a hand, it wouldn't be an issue for us to help. For myself, I'm a CPA, a longtime CPA, with a ton of board experience. The minutes, the whole bit, I enjoy it. I feel very comfortable there. A lot of community involvement. So when you're a CPA and you're involved in the not-for-profit world, generally people look at you and say, would you mind being our treasurer? And so you get asked a lot to be. And so over the years, it's very natural for me to say, yeah, no big deal. I'm moving into a role, so I work for the government of Alberta right now, but I'm starting to want to take this entrepreneurial and board experience into a new role, and to try and work with not-for-profits into as a fractional controller. You know, they can't afford a whole controller, but they can afford a little bit of a controller. So that's the intent. The last part of it that we are at right now is buying and selling of equipment, and you can only store so much in your backyard in Edmonton until you start to need more land, hence the reason for the land. So there's a lot of irons in the fire, and as I said before, infrastructure is important to put into place. For example, a pole shed. So approaching farmers saying, yep, go ahead. Please go ahead and hay it and put your hay in here. So we're already starting to work with the community to see if there's some way that we can have an increased rate of return, but also make it a little less rural, because I think it's been uninhabited. It's for about 10 years. It looks like no one's played on it, no one's done a thing on it. And then, of course, we have people in the area that can sell us spring cows or spring calves and have them roam one of the main pieces, and then in the fall we would bring them to auction. So I wanted you guys to know a little bit about who we are, that we feel comfortable in this role. The idea for you is that, you know, yes, of course, a house needs to be put there, and I could pay a little bit of house taxes, but that's not the intent. If you're going to put me into the budget deliberations, you almost want to know that your rate of return is going to be all right. I'm asking that this road -0288 be put into budget deliberations, and then you're going to need to see a rate of return for you. So if a lot of our ideas come to fruition, which, you know, we've been successful so far, we have the background and the knowledge, then us ranching with 5 cows is going to only increase. It's in our nature.
Can I just ask?
Please.
I'm not clear, and my eyes aren't that great.
Of course.
Which road are we talking about? On the bottom, on the south end? That's what you're looking, or is that already built? So what are you asking for to get built?
So I would have to pull up something from PIPA, but there already is something earmarked.
Yeah, so that's already built? Oh, that's what you're asking us to build?
Yeah, 850 meters. Yeah.
So half a mile?
Yep.
Okay, I was just trying to clear it. That red and the orange blurs together. the way it's written there. Okay, so you want us to build that chunk of road, and everything else is built, connected to, and so you own the quarter to the west? Okay. And you're going through other people's land to get to it right now?
That's correct, yes.
The property owner that won't let you through?
Gustafson?
The one with the star, the
Yes.
orange star, that's the property owner that won't let you through?
That's correct, yes. Yeah.
And so then you got the long and winding road to the left?
Yes. And the long winding road isn't the issue. Ricochet has been quite responsive. Please grade your,
But
please
you don't
grade
have
your
legal
road, and they
access.
do. So, I think the issue is you also have to go through, it's Prem, Evertude, sorry that I'm not getting that name right, that he's gracefully allowed us. Some of it is Crown land, and he's allowed us to go off of the main road through his property and then hit the Crown roads and the lease roads.
So you don't have legal access right now, and that's what you're asking for?
That's correct, yes. There's
You-
nothing,
you-
yep.
Yeah, I understand what you're asking for. Okay,
I didn't,
so the issue then is you're asking us to accelerate it and put it forward on the road request and talk about it at budget and hopefully get support for that?
yes,
Okay. I got what you're asking for. So even if we approve putting it on there, it doesn't get final sort of approval until after we pass the final capital budget?
yes,
Okay, so as long as you understand the process.
yes.
Any questions from councilors? I get what you're asking for. I think it's straightforward. Go ahead, Glenn.
What I found in my division anyways, when I'm just a brand-new counselor, but there's a number of residents that have homes on those isolated quarters that don't have access to them. There's one that swims across the Pembina River to get to his place, another that has to drive many miles through oilfield roads to get to his, and another lady that has to rely on the county, well, she's begging the county to come and grade because she's got no way to grade that mile out of her property, right? So there's so many people ahead of you that need roads. It's gonna be hard for me to say, yes, we'll build that one and ignore the other 30 that are ahead of you, sort of a thing. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know, there's been other people, properties, 40 years old that don't have a road to go into their place yet, so. It's
mean
a
they've
big
been-
lineup, it's a big lineup is what I'm saying.
Oh, I understand, and so.
Like four cattle aren't gonna bring enough economy in for me to spend $1 million on a road, right? And for a few $100s of taxes a year, so that's my issue. Also, the property, it is wet in there. It's some wet, spongy, so I'm not sure just how suitable that's going to be for building a house. But yeah, I have no problem adding that to the budget for this next year. But I just wanted to give you the heads up on why there might be issues on it.
And I understand, and honestly, it was just, I gotta start somewhere, right? So I've got lots of calls to make and lots of people to meet, and so this is my very first meeting, and I don't think I have to come back. I think now that, you know, you've seen me, and Donna was so sweet, I think you belong to me kind of thing. I think that yes, that's right. That's right. So I think now when I call people, I can say, remember in August I was there. And so just to be able to, be able to speak with you without having to, go on Facebook. Yeah.
And I'm just saying, you did a good presentation, far more than what actually a lot of requests come in for. So sometimes people just put the road down and we deal with that. So you went out of your way to give a good presentation on why you need the road. So having said that, I just like to lay out, as Glenn has said, that,
Yep.
he's got issues with, the priorities ahead. But that'll all be debated, and maybe, council might focus on new road requests. I don't know, that's, council, has their own focus during budget time.
Yes.
And sometimes it's paving roads, sometimes it's building roads, and sometimes it's road requests like this, so don't give up hope yet.
No, one of the things that Donna and I spoke about too is that we do have graders and skid steers and loaders, and we do have equipment We just don't have the funds for the gravel. We understood it was 160,000 was an estimate, not $1 million. So that's a little bit of a discrepancy. I'll do a bit of research on that to try and understand. So I don't know how that would play in. If I was an accountant on the gang, I would say, okay, this is how much we can do, how much can you do, right? So.
Well, and I just want to also tell you, there's different philosophies. This isn't just for the rich, and not that I'm saying you're rich, but it's for everybody. And if we start getting into a policy where landowners have to pay for it, that'll snowball in, well, why did you build this road for somebody and you made another guy pay some money? There's all kinds of things that can come into play. So generally, the approach you're taking is put it on the road request and see what happens after that.
Understood.
And I can't tell you one way or the other. Anthony, then Glenn?
We had a road that an individual built, if they wanted to build it to our standards. And it sounds like on page 44, I think that's your letter as well, that you've said you've got equipment.
Yes.
So, and in there it says perhaps the county would be willing to cost share. So my point, I guess, that I'm trying to get is to maybe we need to have you at least see what staff comes up with the cost of building that road. And I don't mean, we've seen another road too over there where in Dallas's division where an individual built it for half the price of what the county numbers were, and yet it's built to our standards.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So I think we could probably have staff look at some of that stuff too, and if there's some cost sharing agreements, maybe there's some ways we can get that road built quicker with their support, like with your equipment and the like.
Equipment and labor,
Because
yep.
we've done that with other places.
Well, we did it with
Couple other
one,
roads.
but we paid him $225,000.
For one, and not the other.
No, the other one was a lone guy that wanted now, and so he built the whole thing.
Right, so there's been precedents that I said that, you know, that could, if you're partnering in, that could help as well. And your letter does imply that,
Yes, that's correct.
at least the way I read it.
Yep, absolutely, yep.
So I would think, from my point of view, I think we, and I can only speak for me, so I shouldn't say we, but I would suggest that you be talking with staff and see if there's some ways that we can come with a number that road realistically will cost, not the high numbers that sometimes are arrived at, and then what you're prepared to do.
Understood. Thank you.
That still doesn't mean that we'll do it, but
Nope.
at least it's a proposal.
Exactly, yep.
I'll just wrap things up around here. Glenn, Donna, and Dallas.
We talked to Dreiberts, who owned that property before, and I think that we had administration talk to them about if they wanted to actually just blaze a trail in there to put the 4 cattle in or whatever. I think we were okay with that too, so if you wanted to just swath that piece out just to get a pickup truck and a cattle trailer in there, that would be an option too, just to get things started.
That's a fantastic idea. We weren't sure if we were allowed, and so I'd like some more details on that.
We threw that around at the last time that we dealt with this property, and that was something that we considered, because there's almost a trail in there already.
We've done it with the
It would just be a
vroom-vrooms, yeah.
matter of if you had the equipment to go through there and
Yes.
actually put a proper trail.
Okay, so, and do I need a thumbs up, and so that I can talk to the administration staff about, yeah. Okay.
Donna?
So you were saying about cost sharing. What was in your thinking? Like you would build the road and we would supply gravel? Or
Pretty much,
how-
yeah, like labor and machinery and expertise is the part that we have. That's a lot of gravel. And we know that because we're duking it out with the beavers right now because they keep taking out our little path. So,
Oh.
yeah, so that's how we know how much gravel is. Plus, of course, we're in the business, but yeah, that was my idea, yeah. Sorry, if I might, I don't know how long I have. You'll kick me out one at a time, right? So, but I was also going to talk to Ricochet. I know that those accountants have a detailed account of exactly how much their roads cost. Now, they're not to the standard that you guys would want, but it's a good start, I think.
But if we were allowing Dreberts to just blaze a
I
trail,
know.
then it wouldn't have to be up to our standards, like our road standards.
And that's what I'd want to make sure I was ticking all the boxes before that. So that's really interesting, Glenn. I'm glad you remembered that.
Go ahead, Anthony. And then I'll come back to you, Dallas.
Yeah, I think if we're doing that part as well, like where you're just mowing a trail in there, I think you need to get a written agreement from the county for that, so that
Right.
we have what I would call authorization on your behalf to do that.
Yeah.
So that if anyone else decides they want to do it, they can't just, anyone can't go down undeveloped road allowances and start developing.
Yeah.
You're getting a contract or an agreement from the county staff.
Yeah.
That way, that authorizes you compared to someone else.
But great, thank you for that. Okay. Next.
Dallas.
All right, well, I'm a philosopher too, and I adhere to an old type of philosophy, and that was municipalities were formed in order to ensure that there's connectivity and roads and road development and road allowance are developed by the municipality. I will not leave that particular position behind, and it's more of a lesson for us. What is our job? What is growth? What is connectivity and development? That's exactly who we are. Isn't that who we are? I think your presentation is quite good today, and I thank you for that. And we have this particular development is on our radar, and I look forward to discussing it further, and I look forward to getting some more numbers. I'm not going to guess what it would cost to construct the road. I am a road builder, and I would take a guess too, but I won't do that because I'll allow administration and
Yes, of course.
our public works to do that.
Yep.
So I'm not going to speculate on how many millions of dollars it would cost, because it won't cost millions of dollars.
I understand. I understand.
And particular road standards are built to meet a particular need.
That's
If the road
interesting.
standard needs
Yeah.
to be this high, that must be the need. But if the need is only this high, then we can deal with something much less. We have allowed in the past oil and gas companies to develop right-of-ways and develop a very minimal standard. And it works very well for heavy traffic. If you can move a rig in and a service rig in, my goodness, I'm sure you can move your car in and your cows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, some of those oilers are pretty heavy.
you're darn right they are.
Yeah.
So thank you for today. Appreciate it.
Okay,
So-
thanks, Alex.
And I just want to leave the thought is, cost sharing is not my philosophy either. We either build it or we don't. Because Anthony, you never paid for your road. Glenn, you never paid for your road. Donna, you never paid for your road. Kara, you never paid for your road. Cody, you never paid for your road. Dallas didn't pay for his road, and neither have I. And setting that standard and starting to move down to cost sharing is absolutely unfair, I would say, to all the previous people that got the fairness. So I'm not looking to partner with you. I'm
Okay.
looking to see yes or no, and you'll either get built this year or next year, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm of a different philosophy, but none of us have paid for our roads.
Okay.
And why should we ask new people to pay for their roads? So,
And it's a great philosophy. I come with solutions. That's what
Yeah.
we talked about, Donna. I want to come with a solution. So it's interesting to hear the perspective.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, I think we've gotten everything we need out of you.
Okay.
The
I've been
question-
dismissed.
No, it's just, it needs to be, well, no, you don't need numbers if we're not paying for it. Right, if you want to still go down a path of doing that, what we need to do is put it on budget discussions. That's what we have to do, but that doesn't mean that it'll get on budget discussions. I'm just saying, everybody else comes in, asks for a road request, and we usually throw it onto budget discussions. Where it fits on that, might entertain different options after that. I'm just trying to keep a fair policy for everybody that comes forward.
Okay, and I have my next steps, which of course is to find a way. That's given me a lot of hope, that
Okay.
I hate to helicopter those poor cows in and out, right? So I think I've thank you and been dismissed. I go.
You're not being dismissed. You've given lots of information, and like me, people say that I talk too much, and I talk myself out of support, so.
All right.
You did a good job, thank you. Pardon me? Yes. All right, so what do you guys want to add it to the list for discussion? That doesn't mean it's going ahead, it's just putting it on the list for discussion during budget deliberations, like we normally do.
It's already on the list.
Oh, it is on the list?
Yeah, it's from the previous owner, Ms. Drebert.
Oh,
And so this is the same road, new owner.
Cody, go ahead.
Yes, so I was wondering, is it on it's up for budget deliberations, or it's on the road request list? It's on both, okay, so it's coming up in our next budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so receive the presentation for information. Go ahead, Donna.
I move to receive Ms. Foley's road request for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. All right, I think we just have a couple of meeting dates, don't we, folks? So, and that was put on today in regards to procedural bylaw review, as well as the committee appointments. Kara, who insightfully, I think you said something about doing two?
I think it's two separate issues, but they could be discussed the same day because they do go hand in hand.
Okay. So one was in regards to members at large, and the other one was procedural bylaw.
And it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, but
Let's do members at large first in the morning, and then we'll just transfer into bylaw.
Sure, let's
do it all at once. Member at large discussion won't take long.
Well, then, how about instead of setting morning and afternoon, set first discussion as procedural bylaw, and then, or members at large, and then follow right into
procedural
bylaw. We might get it done in a couple hours. Sure. Instead of waiting till 1:15.
So my thing would be just start at 9 AM and we go till we're done?
Yes.
We don't know, we haven't picked the day. And I don't want to jinx myself, but I am surprisingly not busy next week.
I'm sure your schedule will get busy. And I'm gonna leave it up to you, Tina, because I forgot my computer. If you can see my schedule, so somebody pick a date.
I got August 28th, August 29th. Okay. That's a holiday.
I thought we were gonna do this early or midway through September.
She said September 4th. If you don't mind, 9:30, it is the first day of school. So staff and I'll probably be a little bit late. I'm fine if you guys go ahead, but I'll probably be 15, 20
Well, why
minutes
not
late.
make it 10:30 then?
9:30.
Or
9:30.
9:30?
9:30 would be lots of time.
Okay.
Or I have the 5th open, whatever everybody. I'm actually surprisingly the next 2 weeks I'm kind of around. I just jinxed myself. But whatever day. You guys prefer a Wednesday morning or a Thursday morning? What does staff prefer?
I do have a doctor's appointment on the 4th. Okay, so how about we do it in the afternoon? When's Alice, in the morning or afternoon?
Alice is 9 AM on the 5th.
Maybe
Well, it will be noon by noon, so we can start at 1 and be done.
on the 5th?
Yeah,
Works for me.
I know the 4th I got a doctor's appointment, so. In the morning or in the afternoon?
Well, oops. What time's your appointment on the 4th? Is it in the morning or the afternoon?
No,
No.
no, I just gotta, maybe I've got it in my phone. Sometimes it comes across. Tina, quit sending me invitations.
Start accepting them first.
They keep, every time I go to hit a button, another request comes in from Tina.
You should be thanking her. She's on the ball.
I know she is.
She's awesome to keep us organized. I know. I would be lost without Tina. I agree. But now you are found. No, you're not found yet.
Sorry, I just need some help with my computer. When are you back, Glenn? I'm available the 2nd, 5th, and 6th.
Second is a holiday.
The 6th, I'm Claire.
Donna had a doctor.
So we're to the 6th now.
Can we work around it, or is it?
Friday is clear. Yeah, I'm free. Morning preferably.
So
It-
we're in the 6th.
Morning of the 6th of September?
You're here, Donna?
I am. I'm here.
So is everybody here the 6th? All right. So somebody make a motion for 9:30 on the 6th, right? Pardon me? 9 is okay?
8:30 is our breakfast.
All right, so somebody make a motion that we start at 9 o'clock on the 6th with the members at large discussion.
I
followed by
move
procedural bylaw.
to set September 6th, 9 a.m. for a council discussion on committee appointments and procedural bylaw.
Discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Just wait, Glenn. So there's nothing else we got to do here, just adjourn? Kara?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor? Carried unanimous. And Rudy,